live.
The IndyCar season enters the home stretch as we begin the first of 4 oval races that'll decide the 2010 IndyCar Series champion. And the sequence begins at Chicagoland and the Daddy of Speedway shootouts, where thrilling finishes are almost guaranteed.
Unser by a nose on the inside.
Lazier was clear out there.
Who's going to win it? Who's going to win it? Hornish takes the victory. Here comes Sam on the outside, almost contact. Sam is going to win it. Oh, Sam is going to win it.
3 abreast at the finish line.
As we talk about close finishes, what's this one going to be? Castro Nevis is going to take it. And who is it going to be?
Briscoe.
Briscoe has the advantage and he gets the win.
Oh, man.
Race 14 of the IndyCar season is the peak Antifreeze and Motor Oil Indy 300, and it's live from Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. It may be getting late here in the UK, but if previous races at Chicagoland are anything to go by, there's little chance of getting any sleep for the next 2.5 hours. With me to discuss the possibility of another grandstand finish are racing driver James Rossiter, and it's a season debut for Autosport's Deputy Editor Charles Bradley. Nice to have you back, Charles. I've got to ask you first of all if the ovals give any kind of advantage to the likes of Dario Franchitti now we've got the last 4 coming up.
Well, definitely, because obviously Will Power won those 5 races, but they're all on road courses. Dario won the Indy 500 earlier this year. He's of the oval races. He's led 312 laps this year to Will Power's 41 on the ovals, and he really is tough to beat.
Been doing your homework, we like that. James, what's it like trying to shift from a set of road courses and suddenly you find you're back on ovals again for a driver?
Well, it's a different mentality, it's a different approach to the race. You've got to be more methodical, and you've got to use a lot of your experience and your, I suppose, composure, and Dario certainly is going to be well composed for this one.
Indeed, and this is a track that close finishes come almost as standard. It's a track that keeps producing super close finishes, the closest being the almost immeasurable 0.0024 second advantage that Sam Hornish Jr. achieved over Al Unser Jr. back in 2002. In 2008, Helio Castroneves beat Scott Dixon by just 3 thousandths, but Dixon knew the feeling. Back in 2003, Sam Hornish beat him by 9 thousandths of a second. In all, Scott Dixon has been involved in 3 of the top 10 closest finishes here, but only finishing second in all of them, and last year it was Ryan Briscoe who pipped him. Here's by how much. Just doesn't get any closer, does it, in Chicagoland, James? Why is it you think this track gives us such great finishes? Look at that.
Well, with the downforce package you can even run 3 abreast here, and it just makes for phenomenal racing, and it's flat out all the way around. The slipstreaming possibilities are huge.
And Scott Dixon is a man that's always the bridesmaid, it would seem, here, and this is a catalogue that he won't want to be seeing of all these second places and to who and by how much. So Scott Dixon really looking to try and make a win out of it if he can.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to get a win in here.
But he finds himself, Charles, all at sea for some reason or another here. His qualifying has been appalling at Chicagoland. He just hasn't been able to get it together like Dario has here.
Yeah, he said he was mystified this yesterday after his qualifying run, down in 15th place when Dario's up there in second. And normally he's good round here, as all those close finishes have shown. Maybe
it's all the ladies. And the ladies are out in force today. Regulars Danica Patrick, Milka Duno and Simona Di Silvestro are joined again by Sarah Fisher, and Mike Conway's seat is filled today by Anna Beatrice, who out-qualified her illustrious teammate yesterday, that being of course Justin Wilson. So Anna Beatrice is back. Had a good qualifying, James.
Yeah, she had a great one. Justin, I know, wasn't happy with his car, and they made some changes for the final practice session after qualifying, and I think he should be quite strong in this race.
It's all to do, isn't it, with 4 races to go? Although the points are quite well split, you get big points for a win here.
You certainly do, and obviously, you know, there's plenty to play for. 59-point lead can disappear pretty quickly if you have a tough race. Obviously, last year, remember, Ryan Briscoe was leading the championship. He had a pit stop fumble at Matigi, and then Dixon led it, and then he obviously lost out to Dario right at the end there. So, you know, really anything can happen. I'm really keen to see how these 4 races unfold.
Indeed, we all are. Well, he's been the driving force this season, both at Team Penske and in the series. And Will Power goes into tonight's race 59 points clear of Scotland's Dario Franchitti. But 1 year ago, things were looking a lot less healthy.
Will Power comes over the hill and makes heavy contact with Nelson Philippe's car. Absolutely incredible impact that tore up both cars.
I remember thinking as I slid to a stop, that's the end of my career. I remember thinking that, well, that's done. And I was in so much pain, I thought, I don't care. I don't ever want to drive one of these again. I was hurting so bad. Excruciating pain like I've never felt.
It's no longer your driver, it's no longer competition. At that point in time, it becomes human.
I hit him so hard. Man, I hope I didn't kill him.
Will Power has compression fractures at L2 and L4 in his back and a concussion.
Put me in a helicopter and I just rode and thought nothing.
And it'll be his first win in the IndyCar Series. Race winner, Will Power!
Fortunately, he had that victory there at Edmonton, and he had solidified himself as someone that was very capable of winning within our organization.
These selected races were for me to show them what I can do, and now this has happened.
That was his number one concern. You know, he was laying there after Sonoma is, what does that mean now? You know, I finally got my break. Now what's going to happen?
You get a lot of time to think, a lot of time to second guess yourself. Are you going to be competitive? Are you going to be, is your confidence going to be there again?
I think as I got closer to driving for the first time, I started getting anxiety about whether I'd ever be as good again. First race, I win it. When I won 2 races, okay, I'm as quick as I was.
He will open the 2010 season with back-to-back victories, the Aussie Will Power.
And for him to come to the first race and win the first race back after Sonoma, that really took everything full circle for us. It took everything full circle for him, and all the focus went on to how do we now win the championship.
In his mind, if he wins every race, that's the best thing he can do. Everything else is secondary, you know. That's it. I don't think I know Will Power. I don't think I'm any closer to him than anybody else on the team. I mean, just absolutely single-minded.
It's that overall focus. He helped bring it to another level, another notch.
I want to win it. That's what I'm working so hard for and have worked so hard for my whole career, is to be in this position. After I had probably, you know, the worst accident I've ever had and had to recover and get fit enough to drive.
To win the championship with Will after what he's been through would be, it's not only a championship for Team Penske and for Roger, but it's full circle for him. It really shows everyone, you know, what he's capable of.
Last week at Sonoma, Will Power exorcised the demons of his past and took his 5th win of the year.
From the stretcher last year to victory lane this year at Sonoma, Will Power wins his 5th event of the year.
And there are now 3 IndyCar championships in 2010, the overall championship, the oval championship and the road course championship. Can anyone achieve the Grand Slam? Power has dominated the road course proceedings, of course, with Ganassi teammates Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon finishing 2nd and 3rd. Ryan Hunter-Reay proved his road course credentials with 4th place. Helio Castroneves eventually finishing 5th, but in front of fellow Penske man Ryan Briscoe. Best Brit Justin Wilson was 7th, Tony Kanaan and Rafa Matos 8th and 9th, with Marco Andretti 10th in the series named after his grandfather. So the first ever road course championship and the Mario Andretti trophy goes to a 29-year-old Australian that aims to take the first IndyCar Grand Slam in 2010, and who would bet against it? Perhaps not even Mario Andretti. And it's Will Power with a 59-point advantage over Franchitti in the overall championship too. But Franchitti does lead the oval championship as we head into our 4 oval finale. Third overall is Scott Dixon, Ryan Briscoe 4th, Elio Castroneves 5th, Ryan Hunter, Ray and Tony Kanaan are 6th and 7th, with Justin Wilson 224 points off the lead in 8th. Marco Andretti 9th and Britain's 2005 series champ Dan Weldon 245 points adrift of the series leader. Danica Patrick is 11th with another Brit, our 4th. In 17th, that's Alex Lloyd. And again, it's Takuma Sato who's languishing in 20th place. And that for me is the strangest thing. This series hasn't gone Takuma Sato's way, has it? Let me ask this question to you, Charles. You've not been around. We've been bouncing this one around a little bit. What do you think to Takuma this year? What's not happened for him in IndyCar?
Well, first of all, I'd say that I've been very impressed with him on the ovals because I'd never expected him to adapt so quickly, and he's run at the front of a lot of them. But it just seems to be he's always made those mistakes. And we've seen it in F1 and we've seen it in IndyCars this year as well. And it's just he seems to make just those small rush of blood moments to the head, and that's what's holding him back. Otherwise, he'd be scoring good points week in, week out. It
has, though, become more competitive in IndyCar. It would seem clearly this year, I think, in depth of field. James, would you agree?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely much more competitive. There's a much deeper depth of talent in the field, and it's clearly showing in the results.
Well, there's no man with more talent, of course, than Dario Franchitti. In 2007, Franchitti saw the luckless Scott Dixon run short of fuel in the closing lap as he swept by for a perfectly timed win. Dario will be hoping to be poised just as perfectly for a win this year, particularly if he can keep a few people between him and Will Power, of course. It's critical, James, that Dario does some winning on these ovals and gets Will a little bit further back in the pack. A lot of points still available.
Yeah, it's Dario's only chance, really. He has to get the wins here in these last 4 races, but Will's up there. He's 3rd on the grid today, and he looks threatening, and I reckon he could get a win soon on an oval.
Well, he's not going to get much backing from his teammate at the moment, at Ganassi, if Scott Dixon is struggling quite as much as he is.
Yeah, and I was surprised that the previous round as well that Dixon didn't let him pass at the end after he'd gone past him obviously on the red tyres. We heard the Ganassi come on the radio and say, you know what you've got to do to Dixon, and I assume that was either to take power off or dive bomb into the last corner. He did neither, and he didn't let Dario past.
Well, this week the usual oval track 4 consecutive lap qualifying session was reduced to 2 laps to cater for the larger than usual 29 car grid. But however you shake it up, the cream always comes to the top.
Firstly, we really want Will to bring home this championship, but there's also the Oval Championship on the line, and I'm only a few points out from both Ganassi guys on that. So, if I can come out and win a couple of these, that's going to be great. I actually love this place. It's kind of weird that I love a place so much that's been, that almost, took my life or whatever, but I love it. It's a great track. It puts on great racing, and it's always exciting to be a part of.
The paint job's pretty cool. Hopefully we should have put a breathe right on the engine cover there, get some more RPMs and the thing. But no, it felt quite good in qualifying. But you never know with these 1.5 mile tracks. But not a bad race car for tomorrow night, I think.
Qualifying on these ovals is just, you go out, hold it flat, and hope for the best. Hopefully get a good gust of wind or something, I guess. You sort of flat a lot around the shortest distance of the track on the white line. So, I mean, it's going to be a different story, but we're going to have a lot different setup.
So Ryan Briscoe makes it his 3rd consecutive pole position at Chicagoland, but Dario Franchitti upset the Penske party by grabbing 2nd on the grid in front of Briscoe's teammates. They sit on row 2. Row 3 is Marco Andretti and Graham Rahal. Dan Weldon gave Panther Racing their best qualifying place of the year. He's on row 4 with Hideki Muto. Ryan Hunter, Ray and Takuma Sato are on row 5. Ed Carpenter joins the best of the 5 ladies on the grid on row 6. Tony Kanaan and Alex Lloyd are on row 7. Scott Dixon is all at sea on row 8 and has plenty of work to do. EJ Vizo is alongside. Thomas Scheckter takes Mario Romancini's seat at Conquest Racing, joining Rafa Matos on row 9, and out-qualifies his Conquest teammate Bertrand Baguette, who's with Alex Tagliani on row 10. Mario Moraes joins Anna Beatrice, who's the latest sub for Mike Conway at Dreyer and Reinbold, and out-qualifies her more illustrious teammate in Justin Wilson, who sits on row 12 with Vida Mira. Sarah Fisher has a much improved Milka Duno on row 13, and our final final of the 5 ladies, perhaps disappointed to find herself alongside Davy Hamilton on row 14 is Simona Di Silvestro. But not as disappointed as Basildon's Jay Howard on the back of the grid in Sarah Fisher's second car. So that's how it looks as far as the grid is concerned. It's the first time Scott Dixon has qualified outside the top 10 in 45 races, believe it or not. So Scott Dixon, bit of work and a bit of apprehension for the Kiwi down on the grid, I'm sure. But Dario Franchitti is the man that is looking to make the most if he can from that front row start and keep Will Power behind him. Let's cross to the grid for the command.
For those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Chief Executive Officer of Vantage Specialty Chemicals, Julian Steinberg, as he gives the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
Well, the cars come to life and will momentarily be moving away from pit lane for 2 warm-up laps before getting the green flag and the start of tonight's race. Yesterday here at Chicagoland Speedway, qualifying was held, and Will Power's string of 3 straight peak pole positions was broken. And it was broken by Ryan Briscoe, who toured the track at a 2-lap average of 216.346 miles an hour. It was Briscoe's 3rd pole of the year, his 3rd straight here, and he becomes only the 4th person in series history that has happened. As was the case at Infineon Raceway last weekend, Mario Andretti is at the front of the field with the Izod 2-seater. And his passenger in the car this week is the winner of the Honda sweepstakes. She is Patricia Cox from Melbourne, Florida. And the car begins to move away. What an incredible thrill this must be. Patricia, Bob Jenkins up in the Versus booth. Can you hear me? Mario moving up through the gears. Patricia, can you hear me? Well, apparently not. There we go. If I were her, I would be a little scared too.
Yeah, she's waving, but she's not talking to us.
What an incredible thrill it must be to get to ride with the 4-time national champion and the 1969 winner of the Indianapolis 500, Mario Andretti. Honda's fastest seat in motorsports sweepstakes was so popular, they're going to do it again. Go to shophonda.com to sign up for your chance to start an IndyCar race at Homestead Miami Speedway in the Izod IndyCar 2-seater driven by Mario Andretti. Official rules at shophonda.com. All right, here is the starting lineup for tonight's race. Besides Briscoe in row number 1, it is Dario Franchitti, the winner of the 2007 race here. In row number 2, points leader Will Power and Chicagoland's 2008 winner Helio Castroneves.
And Will Power was the fastest car at over 218 miles an hour in final practice. Does not seem intimidated in any way.
Starting 5th, Marco Andretti, his 9th top 10 start of the year, and Graham Rahal coming off a 9th place finish last Sunday at Infineon.
And for Graham, this has been about a year since he's been on a 1.5 mile super speedway. Very happy with his qualifying run. He's been good ever since they rolled that car right off the trailer. They've been fast.
In the 4th row, Dan Weldon, the only 2-time Chicagoland winner in the field, and Hideki Muto, row number 5, Ryan Ray, who has 7 straight top 10 finishes, and Takuma Sato, his first race here at Chicagoland. As you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, 4 races have been won from the pole. Helio Castroneves started 28th in 2008 and won. The most lead changes here at Chicagoland in 2004 when there were 23. The closest finish in Izod IndyCar Series history occurred here in 2002. And 4 of the top 6 closest finishes in series history have occurred here. A series record 5 females will start in tonight's race. Go back to row number 11 and we see that Anna Beatrice is one of the 5 females starting in tonight's race. In row number 12, Justin Wilson and Vitor Mira. Couple of females in row number 13, Sarah Fisher and Milka Duno. In the 14th row, Simona Di Silvestro and Davy Hamilton, his first start since the Indianapolis 500. And Jay Howard starts in the final row. Let's go down to Jack Arute in the Izod Performance Pit Center.
We've all gone on a journey and we've hit the button on our GPS and it tells calculating. Basically, that's what you're going to be doing if you're the guy that's calling the race tonight. You're going to be calculating the following things. You want to count backwards. You want to be in the right position at the end. Somewhere during the race, as your GPS is recalculating, you want to see what kind of fuel mileage you've got. And finally, what you want to do is test your car. Does it run well when you're leading or when you're following? If all that works out right with the final 20 miles, at the end of all that, your GPS will say you've reached your destination. That'll be Victory Lane here in Chicago.
Field kind of spread out right now, but the back of the field is catching up to the front, which is just now entering turn number 3. Well, folks, hang on. This is going to be unbelievable with 29 cars starting in the most competitive race and racetrack that we have ever seen in series history. And here we go. Off of turn number 4, looking for the green flag, and the Apex Brazil green flag experience. Our energy is out. Here we go at Chicagoland.
One guy to keep an eye on, that blue and white car on the top side, Tony Kanaan. He's known for running up top in the opening laps.
3 wide racing in the middle of the pack. Danica Patrick moves from the middle to the top of the racetrack, and here they come to complete lap number 1.
And Scott Dixon, that is, of course, Tony Kanaan now with the new colors that Robbie was talking about, went to the high side, made a nice move.
Franchitti and Elio Castroneves battling for the 2nd position. Elio in a bit different car. He is wearing blue and orange uniform tonight on the car as we look back from Ryan Briscoe's perspective on the battle for 2nd position.
And if you look back there, the guy on the highest side of the racetrack, we talked about him at the top of the show, that's Marco Andretti. Look at him, just sneaking up top. So he's always going to be getting up on the high side of that racetrack, making sure that the track's clean for when he really needs to get up there and make it stick.
Wow, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 right together on the racetrack behind Ryan Briscoe.
It looks incredibly calm out of the back of his car, doesn't it? Just on that one car until you get them all 3 wide from this angle.
Kanaan on the high side now of Dan Weldon, 2-time winner at this racetrack. Weldon up, Kanaan is up 7 positions, Scheckter up 5, Howard, who started last, up 5, Rafa Matos is up 3, and Weldon 2 in the early going of this race. And now Ryan Briscoe's lead has diminished, and here comes the field.
They sure do. Now, Kanaan, you remember at the top of the show, Dixon said, oh, I'm just going to kind of follow Kanaan up there. Well, he sure hasn't. Dixon's still back in the 12th spot. We don't want to count him out, but he didn't follow Kanaan all the way up there, did he?
Oh, we got a problem. Car spinning against the wall, a couple of cars, actually.
Well, that's Scheckter back there driving in the Conquest car this weekend in the 36, right there.
That's the car that has been driven by Francesco Dracconi and Mario Romancini this year, but Thomas Scheckter in the cockpit for this race. And now here is
Rafael Matos.
No, I believe, yeah, Rafael Matos.
That is a disappointment because talking with Rafa today, he's never been more confident in the car his crew guys had given him at this super speedway, and that was our conversation. Just incredible confidence.
And he was involved in the same accident, and now you see Alex Lloyd has also had some contact, which would have cut down his tire. But Rafael Matos was in the initial contact, and I think he was trying to make it back to pit lane, and then, of course, had a secondary accident, not being able to get it stopped.
Let's take a look at what happened.
Up high, from the back, someone got into the back of Scheckter. Matos up against the wall.
Yeah, and that was Matos that got in the back of Alex Lloyd. That's the one we just saw coming in with his right rear gone, and that was Rafa that just drilled him in the back right rear.
This is his teammate Hamilton.
Pick your spot, get through the grass, I'm okay.
Davey, of course, was eliminated on the very first lap of the Indianapolis 500. He sees his teammate involved in an early crash here at Chicagoland. So was Alex Lloyd in car number 19. Back in a moment.
Britain's Alex Lloyd is in the thick of our lap 5 caution at Chicagoland Speedway. Let's go back to the track for the very latest.
Under yellow here at Chicagoland Speedway because of a multi-car crash that occurred coming out of turn number 2. And again, here are the replays.
And it started a little farther up than we thought initially. Watch Will Power with the tracker there. He gets a little bit high, starts to get loose. Look how sideways that car gets. He comes down. Go ahead and let it roll. See how close he comes to Ed Carpenter. Now right behind, as the camera pans up, you can see that that's when the rest of the cars behind start taking avoiding action. That is Rafael Matos up against the wall. And he went a long way till that car finally came to a stop. And of course, Scheckter here. But Robbie, here was the initial contact behind.
And the big sideways for Will Power seeing that is then the crowd. So there's Scheckter. Look at Scheckter just spinning. He ends up at the wall. Then to the right, there's Alex Lloyd with Rafa. Rafa gets the worst of that deal. Rights off the right side of the car, and he's done for the day.
Vitor Meira had damage. Alex Lloyd also damaged. He's been in for a pit stop. We are under caution here at Chicagoland.
Get a load of that. Will Power there, absolutely sideways on. I tell you what, testing his talent. We know he's got a lot of talent, but it was him that was so sideways. Everyone else checked up behind him, James.
Yeah, that was a really good effort to hold that by Will. I think Scheckter could see Will getting sideways and had a bit of a lift. And that sort of ran, I think Alex Lloyd then ran into the back of Scheckter, and then they all concertinaed off.
Well, we can take another look at it here. I mean, this is as sideways as you ever get. Of course, these are checked up after Will Power had got sideways on.
Yeah, they showed a different camera angle earlier, a front-on view of Will having a huge slide all the way around the corner. He did an amazing job to hold the slide, to not hit any other cars when he recovered it. He did a really good job keeping it together.
Every time I look at this, there's more cars involved in it, I think. Certainly going down on the dirt. Not what you want a lap 5 in the 4th race of the day. This is the one. Watch this. This is fantastic. Yeah. Talk us through it, James.
Will's at the back there. He's the last car in the shot, and you can see there how sideways it is. That to hold that slide and not overcorrect it and not actually lose it that's amazing that he managed to get away with that.
A man at the top of his game. Unfortunately, of course, it did actually cause everyone to get out of the throttle, and 1 or 2 touched. Alex Lloyd checked into Thomas Scheckter, I think it was. Rafa Matos as well was involved in that. And they found themselves up against the wall, and their day is over fairly swiftly.
Yeah, you could just see there it was all Scheckter. He's an experienced oval racer. He knew to look 5, 6 cars in front, see if anything was going to happen, and he just managed to have a little breathe of the throttle, and Lloyd ran into the back of him.
Well, Thomas Scheckter, we saw him. He's taken over the Conquest race car's seat this week from Mario Romancini, and he's not going to be happy as far as his performance this afternoon is concerned. That's for sure. He's not going to go into the night with a result perhaps for Conquest. Let's hear from him now, because I think our colleagues are about to have a chat with him at trackside.
NASCAR comes to Versus with the Whelen Southern Modified Tour, and the race is on with short tracks, open wheels, and high-speed thrills. Versus takes you back where NASCAR got its roots. The NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour from Caraway Speedway, Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern, only on Versus, with Jack Arute doing the play-by-play. All right, there is Will Power. He is in 9th position, but he got very sideways there in front of the accident, and we'd ask him about what it's like racing at Chicagoland.
Chicago's one of the highest placings I had actually in IndyCar in 2008, and it's a great track for racing because you can run 3 wide. And it's always, it's always really close there. You're running inches apart at unbelievable speeds.
And we have seen that in the first few laps of the race before we got to the caution that involved Thomas Scheckter. Lindy?
And first we want to say that Thomas is okay. Secondly, from the driver's seat, what do you know?
I don't know. I just got hit up from behind. I'm not sure. Had a good race. I think I was past 5 cars there. Was just cruising along, and someone hit me straight up the back. I don't know what these guys are thinking so early on the race, but it happens. Feel bad for Conquest Racing. Not a lot of damage on the car, so we'll look for better things in Kentucky.
A lot has happened to you in a few days because this deal really came together last minute for you.
Yeah, and we qualified well and we were racing well there. And I thought by warm up we had definitely a top 10 car, but for someone to hit you from behind on one of these big tracks like that early on is just uncalled for. But that's what you get with some of these guys.
And any future plans for you?
Yeah, hopefully Kentucky and Miami, but we'll see after this.
Thomas, thank you.
Thank you.
Bob?
Thomas Schechter's okay after the accident early on in the Peak Antifreeze and Motor Oil Indy 300 from Chicagoland Speedway.
Thomas Schechter clearly unhappy with people around him at that particular point, but maybe, James, you can give us some perspective on this as a driver. I mean, when you're looking forward to cars that are checking up, he's an experienced man. He probably was looking a bit further forward than perhaps some.
Yeah, I think it's just awareness. I mean, he's done hundreds of oval races, so he knows to look a long way ahead. If there's an accident that's going to happen, you're going so fast, you have to look a long way ahead, otherwise you're going to be involved in that accident. And unfortunately, I think he just got caught out. He must have lifted off a tiny little bit, and at those speeds, at 215 miles an hour, if you lift a tiny bit, and the person behind is going to hit you so quickly.
I think it's difficult for people to appreciate that these cars are absolutely flat out as fast as they'll run around this track, as long as they'll run flat out.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, your right foot is all the way to the floor the entire way round, and that's something that if you have a tiny little lift, you're going to lose a lot of speed. But you're doing 215 miles an hour. I mean, that's faster than a Formula 1 car goes.
Indeed, that's a perspective put to you from a driver there. Let's go back to the track then, because the green flag's coming up.
Welcome back to the IZOD IndyCar Series. We're under yellow, about to take green. You're looking at Team Penske, number 6, Ryan Briscoe. You notice no wheel ramps, no extensions on the car. All 3 Penske drivers, you're not using those aerodynamic little nuggets they might be able to use. So they are not having the downforce that maybe some of the other team members have. We saw Will Power get squirrely. I talked to Clive Howlett. Was it because of those little nuggets not being on the car? He said, no, I think we just might have had a little cold tire. So guys, something to look for. And one guy with absolutely no downforce is Marco Andretti.
And we've talked, Robbie, a lot about Marco Andretti. Tony Kanaan, of course, had a fantastic run right off the start.
And part of why TK can do that, he had those extensions on. He had those tire kick-ups, so he has a little bit more downforce in the car, and he knows he has that. But watch him carry the momentum on the top side. A little bit of lift there, but look at him up top. It's like everybody else is out for a Sunday drive, and he's blasted along. And we've seen this is a signature move for this guy to do this at the start of the race. And we know Dixon knew that because he said at the top of the show.
He gained 7 positions, and Tony Kanaan is now running in 6th position. Jay Howard has actually gained the most positions since the drop of the green flag. He is up 10 as the field now begins to accelerate, come off corner number 4, and look for the Apex Brazil restart. And here we go once again.
Sure looked like a lot of people were changing position there well before green. I think race control is going to be trying to sort that one out.
Yeah, but on that break, Marco Andretti was on the overtake, the push to pass. It gave him the boost to try and challenge Briscoe for the lead.
And he is dropping into 2nd position through turns 3 and 4. So Marco Andretti now runs 2nd. Let's see if he tries to challenge for the lead. Held by Ryan Briscoe. This is the 8th race that Ryan has led this season, his 4th time in 5 oval races.
And Bob, the way that Ryan Briscoe was able to foil that attempt by Andretti, hit the overtake himself. He did it to try and get that lead back, and it was successful.
A little defensive move. We heard Robbie talk about the tire ramps and kickups that give you that little extra nugget of downforce, he said. These 2 guys right here, Briscoe and Andretti, neither of them have it, so it may make it a little tougher for Marco to get up on that high side, but you know these guys are fast. Look at Marco's car just move around on the seams of the racetrack there. Very violent, really.
We have several of the girls. In fact, all 5 of the girls are running right together. Danica's leading Anna Beatrice. Then we have Sarah Fisher, Milka Duno, and Simona Di Silvestro. And Jay Howard is there, too. Of course, Jay Howard drives for Sarah Fisher Racing. As we go back to the front of the field, the battle is for 3rd position between Elio and Dario Franchitti. But now Marco looks to the high side of the racetrack.
And Bob, this is just what we've been talking about, predicting that those who have low downforce will go to the front first. But that doesn't mean that's going to work for you for the entire race. You know it'll work early on, but Tony Kanaan is a great example of someone with more downforce. He can take other lines, and he's happier in traffic.
Well, and the big risk when you don't have that extra downforce in the car, let's say something goes wrong and you get further back in the pack. When you have all that other air swirling around from the cars in front of you, it just is a lot tougher to stay flat-footed around this place. And if you can't keep the gas mashed, whoa, look at the aggressiveness.
Dixon.
There. Yeah. Was that Dixon?
Yeah.
See him?
Dixon is on the move. He's up to 7th position now.
But you have to mash the gas around here, and you have to have a car to keep that momentum to run high, low, in the middle. You don't want to get off the gas because it will kill the momentum. And that's why the grip and having that extra downforce is a good thing.
He goes right by Tony Kanaan on the low side.
Yep. Scott Dixon started this race in 15th position. That is his worst start since 2005. But it doesn't look like it was a bad qualifying effort right now. He is on the move, and we have 3 wide racing once again.
How about that?
Oh, look at Dixon go to the high side. Man.
And that Fuzzy's car, that's Ed Carpenter, who we haven't seen since May, doing a fantastic job.
Boy, he loves mile-and-a-half racetracks.
And hats off to Ed Carpenter. Remember, he was the one that was right next to Will Power when Will Power got sideways. Yep. He came down and almost clocked him, but he kept his cool, and now he's right up front.
Do you think there's 2 different approaches between Dixon and Kanaan? We saw what Kanaan did in the first lap. Now Dixon's come back by Kanaan. He's just kind of eased his way up the racetrack versus ran there in the first lap.
He just lost momentum now. I think that Tony Kanaan's going to get back by Dixon.
Well, first Dan Weldon on the bottom side of the racetrack will take the position away from Ed Carpenter, moving Weldon up to 5th. Carpenter is 6th, then Kanaan, then Dixon, then Ryan Hunter-Reay. Up at that high side in the green car this weekend.
Well, it absolutely is unpredictable around here. Ooh, look at the moving up the racetrack there. But it is absolutely unpredictable around this racetrack. And the one thing that just adds to that is if you're back in the pack, if you're 5th or 6th, you want to run hard, but you know that guy at the front, he can't break away. Nobody can break away totally and cut you off. You always have a shot to get back up in that lead pack at this facility.
Ed Carpenter has only run the Indianapolis 500 this year. This is his 2nd start in the Eyes on IndyCar Series as we go on board with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Lindy?
Well, Bob, Ed Carpenter says with this big car count, the crowded pit lane, this is stuff that he thinks is really cool. He says it's a tough field, but if you play your cards right and do your job, which clearly is what he's doing, he says, I think we have a good enough car to expect a top 5, and he says, I think we can contend for the win. Bob, this is his 101st career series start.
Like to see Ed back in the series full-time next year. He's running for Vision Panther Racing in the Fuzzy's Vodka sponsored car from Fuzzy Zeller from New Albany, Indiana.
And I think that's a real goal for him to finish this in the top 5 and maybe challenge. But the tough thing is when you're not running day in and day out in the series, the time lost down pit road, and when you're not doing that on a regular basis, that's where it gets really tricky to have that top 5 finish.
The first 8 cars are running within a second of each other. Ryan Briscoe has the lead, but by just a slight advantage over Marco Andretti and Dario Franchitti.
Chicagoland Speedway is living up to the reputation carved from years of close racing. Today's round 14 is without compromise. 215 miles an hour within millimetres of each other, 3 wide, racing at its best. Let's go back to the track and our colleagues.
Boy, it just doesn't get much better than this, does it? Look at this 5-car battle for the lead. Marco Andretti is running to the high side of Ryan Briscoe.
And Briscoe's teammate Elio's trying to kind of keep Marco honest and Briscoe honest by getting even higher up in that 3rd lane.
And Ed Carpenter is up on the high side also.
When you see that speed there of Marco Andretti, their overall lap times have dropped 2 miles an hour as soon as they went 2 by 2. When they were running more single file, they're running 2:14. Now they're down to 2:11, 2:12. It slowed it down. Everyone else is packing up behind.
I was going to say, the people that makes really happy is when you're back about 8th back and you see 2, 2, 2 all lined up in front of you, like, here we come, guys. Here we come. We're going to be part of this party.
We did have a crash in the early going of this event. Involved were Thomas Schechter. We've already talked with him. Now let's talk to the other man involved, Rafael Matos. Here's Lindy.
And Rafa, Thomas said from his point of view, he was just hit from behind. From your driver's seat, what's your take?
I'm not really sure what happened. I was just fighting very hard trying to gain positions, and all of a sudden Alex Lloyd slowed down right in front of me, and I tried to avoid him going high, and he just didn't give me enough room, and I hit him and the wall, and I think I was very lucky not to get airborne, but it's very unfortunate crashing in the third lap, but I think the car was great. The HP car was very competitive, and just a shame.
Would you say, unfortunately, the highlight of your day was getting the birthday cake from your team before the race started?
Definitely, yeah. I have to thank the team for that, and just unfortunate way to have my birthday, but that's racing, I guess.
Rafa, thank you. And he has turned 29 today, Bob.
Takuma Sato making a pit stop. Look at this, incredible. Now 10 cars are running within a second of each other. Marco Andretti has not been, he has led 2 laps, but Ryan Briscoe right now is in front. After practice last night, which was only a half hour, I said then that I thought Marco was going to have a really strong race and a good race car tonight.
And he's able to hang on to it on low downforce. As soon as they went back to single file, Robbie, right up to 2:14.6. 3 miles an hour, bam, as soon as they get in line.
Yep, as soon as you get side by side. And that's some of the changes we made a year ago on these cars. When we took the half-inch gurneys off of those end plates, what it's allowed the cars behind to do is it's allowed them to draft up better. And they're quicker drafting up. But when you come alongside, you kind of hit that wall of air and you stop. And that's why they get stuck side by side there.
Now Scott Dixon has dropped back to 12th position. As we keep a look on the battle for the overall championship, we'll tell you that Will Power is running in 6th position. Now he goes, Scott Dixon does, to the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay and take that position, and also gets by Graham Rahal.
See how quick that happened?
Yeah.
Just 2 spots like that. I mean, when one guy just in front of you has to lift off that gas just a little bit and you have momentum and you haven't lifted, that's how quick things can flip-flop around here. And it just makes it just absolutely intense from the cockpit.
Hey guys, while we're watching Scott Dixon, let me tell you what I think he is doing. He's so renowned, he and Mike Hull, for doing this. They keep counting Dixon down to his first pit stop. Remember I told you one of the things when you're calculating your race, you need to make fuel? Scott Dixon right now, as I'm looking at his telemetry, is doing just that. They want to know how much fuel they've got. They know this is all parry and thrust right now. Meanwhile, up front with Ryan Briscoe and Marco Andretti, guys, I find it interesting. Briscoe seems to have much better speed when he's in 5th gear. Marco Andretti seems to have better speed when he is in 6th gear. What's up with that?
Of course, Jack, you can choose whatever ratio you want to go in either of those slots. Typically, your 6th gear is when you're drafting, your 5th gear is when you're leading. So you would expect that Ryan Briscoe would be in 5th, and behind, as he gets a draft, Marco Andretti would be in 6th.
Well, Jack was guessing what was going through Scott Dixon's mind. I went down to Mike Hull and asked him, what's happening? He said, Robbie, it's nothing. And he pointed up to the board. He said, the miles an hour dropped down like 3 miles an hour. So he bunched people up. I backed up. There's no concern here in the number 9 car whatsoever. And a funny thing is I talked to Danica Patrick earlier today, and she said, I learned something from Scott on these 1.5-mile ovals. He'll pull up next to you, show you what he's got, and then drop back and wait. He's really not too concerned right now.
Look who's running in 3rd position, Dan Weldon in the National Guard car. Tremendous record here at Chicagoland Speedway and on the 1.5-mile racetracks.
Well, he's one of these drivers, when you talk to different engineers and team owners, Dan has just a special talent to really feel that race car and be incredibly fast of driving off the right rear. There's a lot of guys that always have to have the front of that car leading, but he has ability to really drive off that right rear. And it can be fast. It can bite you, but you can be fast. And the National Guard car, he's looking solid.
He is. He won in 2005 and 2006 here at Chicagoland Speedway.
talking with his engineer, David Cripps, one thing he said is, you know, yeah, you want to be flat around this racetrack all day long to keep the momentum. But as you keep putting laps on these tires, his engineer thought that it's going to be tough. It's not a no-brainer to run flat out around this racetrack all day through that 50-lap stint. So that'll be something we'll have to watch.
It's Ryan Briscoe leading the Peak Antifreeze and Motor Oil Indy 300 and Marco Andretti running second. Position. So Alex is doing very well. Danica Patrick runs 14th. That is Ed Carpenter to the right of Dan Weldon. And now Weldon comes up to challenge Marco for second.
Oh, that's a tight squeeze. Woo. Oh, wow. And Marco's trying to hit pit lane was what was happening there.
Wow. Man. Dan, I'm coming in. I want in. I want in.
Already more than a fourth of this race has been completed.
And that surprises me because Marco Andretti obviously ran a lot of time behind Ryan Briscoe. You would have thought he'd get a little better fuel economy. Not good if you come when you're following, and Rahaal's there too. Lindy?
And Graham Rahal in, he said the rear of the car has not been too good, but he's been using his tools on the inside. He said it feels a lot better now. He says the O2 car feels really good up high on the track. Robbie?
A tire change at full fuel. This is a car he said has the best chance of winning for 2010. He likes his car better than anything he's driven so far this year.
Ryan Briscoe, the leader, has also come in for a pit stop.
And the two teammates, Weldon and Carpenter, still out there. Did not have to stop, as well as Castro Neves and Franchitti.
And a huge challenge at this racetrack, when you come into pit road under green conditions, like you come off of turn 3 and you get down to the flat and it's almost off camber, but you need to challenge that flat, and it's really hard. I mean, if you give up a second there, we know what that can cost you on the racetrack.
Now several others make their first pit stop of the evening. Dan Weldon's crew goes to work on the National Guard car.
They go with sticker tires.
The left rear was getting hung up back there on the National Guard car.
Little problem, Robbie.
Leonard's 11. It looked like everything was all right for Tony Kanaan. We talk about how he had more downforce, able to maneuver the car. He said, you know, when you're young like Marco, you can do that, but I can't.
And for Castro Neves, they had to get out the quick lift. They could not get the fuel hose connected. It appeared they had to go to the quick lift. And Carpenter went longer than anyone. Now he hits pit road.
And that's that area I was talking about. You come into that flat. Look at how Will Power just ate up Ed Carpenter as they coming down that pit end flat between 3 and 4.
Ryan Hunter-Reay moves back out onto the racetrack. Green flag pit stops taking place. Ed Carpenter's crew. And here comes Will Power. Down to the attention of the Verizon Team Penske crew.
Of course, Jackaroo told us how important fueling is, and that made the huge difference for his teammate, Castro Neves. Nice and smooth for Will Power.
8.8 seconds, and Will Power is back on the racetrack as Alex Lloyd now has taken over the lead. Remember, he did pit. Alex Tagliani gets credit for leading a lap. Briscoe, Andretti, Carpenter, Tagliani, and Lloyd have all led here during this sequence of pit stops.
There were quite a few people that ducked in on lap number 9, and one of those was Tagliani and Lloyd, yes.
Yeah. So there is Alex Lloyd as Justin Wilson comes in for his first scheduled pit stop.
Another one who pitted on lap 9, so we have a couple of different sequences of those who pitted early.
Davey Hamilton has moved to second position. Here comes Sarah Fisher down pit lane. She is getting back into the race. Sarah will also be at Kentucky Speedway next Saturday night here on Versus. And now Lloyd drops down to the apron of the track, and he will relinquish the lead. Simona Di Silvestro in for a stop, and now Davey Hamilton also will enter pit lane.
60 mile an hour right there at those yellow Sunoco cones.
And he has the very first pit, and that oftentimes when you're coming off that warm-up lane, that can be a tricky spot to get into.
Yeah, because he has to go slower than that 60 mile an hour point before you get to it so he can get in his box and stop. Hometown crowd here for Dale Coyne.
Now Vitor Mira led briefly because he last pitted on lap 13. So this is all kind of cycling through depending on when you stop
and why
early.
Vitor got out of sequence is he was also involved in that incident earlier. We didn't really see where it was, but he banged up his left front wing. They came in and replaced that nose.
Well, when all these pit stops are completed, Ryan Briscoe should be back at the top of the field with Andretti, Franchitti, Dixon, and Kanaan running behind him. It's still a very close battle out there on the racetrack as Marco Andretti has found Briscoe once again as they run first and second. Well, the pit stops are completed, and now we concentrate on more racing. But first, we'll take a break from Chicagoland Speedway.
Movers and shakers in the Chicago Indy 300 then, and it looks like Scott Dixon has got over whatever his problems were. With me here in the studio are James Rossiter and Charles Bradley. James, certainly Ganassi seem to be on top of Scott Dixon's problems.
Yeah, definitely running in 4th place now. They seem to have, or Scott seems to have found whatever was wrong with his car. He seems to be much happier with it in the race. And both Ganassi cars running 3rd and 4th.
Good to see Dan Weldon as well, a 2005 champ that's having a pretty good run here. Panthera got good form here, he's got good form here.
Yeah, he always goes well here, and that car is always good on the ovals. Obviously we saw him have that great runner-up in the Indy 500 this year, but as we see here, fantastic racing yet again.
Absolutely fantastic racing.
Nose to tail like they're tied together, and it get back to Franchitti's come back up to 3rd place, and Powers dropped way back, to 7th.
We were a joke a bit earlier on that Dario would have had an extra 5 laps over everyone else and saved a little bit more fuel.
Well, he did a good job of saving fuel. He and the 2 guys at the front obviously didn't do such a good job saving fuel. They were the first people to jump into the pits at I think 54 laps, and then a few of the others managed an extra 5 laps. And Power was one of those to save some fuel, so he could be on a strategy mission.
A lot of good names that are further down the order as far as the race is concerned at the moment. Di Silvestro having a bit of a struggle there in 24th place at the moment. Alex Tagliani in 25th. Milcaduno still running and slightly competitive as well. We've got to go back to the track and rejoin the action live with our colleagues at the track.
How important to be up front, or can you win from anywhere in this 29-car field? Ryan Briscoe and Dario Franchitti will lead the field to the green flag.
Here we go at Chicagoland.
2 cars together.
Oh, we got a problem. Green flag racing right now as Ryan Briscoe and Marco Andretti are running 1st and 2nd. Dario Franchitti is 3rd, and Alex Lloyd, who led for a time before he came in for his 2nd pit stop, is now going to have to enter pit lane once again. These guys with about a 1-second advantage on the 3rd place car of Dario Franchitti, then Dixon, Kanaan, Power, Hunter Ray, Carpenter, Ray Hall, and Viso. The big loser during that sequence of pit stops was Dan Weldon, who was 14th, and he's moved up now to 12th as once again Marco challenges Ryan.
And Bob, we were watching that interval that you said was a second to Dario Franchitti. Not long ago, that was a 1.5 seconds. So the cars behind these 2 are closing in fast.
Well, when you see Marco behind Briscoe there, you see him he's darting around. And what he's doing is, as he sneaks in right behind Briscoe, right there, so he's getting drafted and pulled along, and then he pops up. He knows he's maybe not going to make the pass, but he's going to keep his momentum going and not breathe off the gas. And then, obviously, as he hits that wall of air, he's going to slow down a little bit, and then he'll duck right back behind him, right there, slipstream a little bit more, and then just keep popping out. So that's what all the darting is going on, so he can keep his momentum and stay in that track.
Well, to talk about that though, Robbie, why does he not just run right on Briscoe's gearbox? They would run faster collectively together. He would save fuel. He has to make up a lap because he pitted 1 lap earlier than Briscoe. I would ride right on his gearbox and try and work together, get clear, and then worry about Briscoe.
Yeah, so what you're saying is stay right on his gearbox and just feather back on your throttle a little bit, save fuel, versus keeping that momentum and always popping up to the high side and not breathing out of the throttle.
We'll see which technique he adopts.
Well, look at there you talk. Dario's, what, 2 car lengths back, followed by Dixon.
We have had 7 leaders and 12 lead changes in the first 73 laps of this race.
I think the answer to the question is that Marco Andretti knows if he can find a way to get past Briscoe, that is his shot at somehow, because Briscoe is so fast and solid when he's leading on the bottom of the racetrack. I bet he thinks his only defense is, I've got to figure out a way to get by him, get ahead, and let him run in dirty air.
And that sets up what Jack said is, you know, you're setting up everything for that last stop. And what you want to do is you go into that last stint of this race. You want to know where you are strong relative to your competitors. And that's maybe what he's sizing up. Jack, you got more?
Well, I want to take you back to that first set of green flag pit stops. You see Elio Castroneves running out there right now, but I want to go back to some of the mistakes or some of the things that you have to do when you're using a night race. This is Sean Hanran, and look at his left arm. You see the light there? The idea is to try and give Castroneves a place where he can do it. You notice Hanran was a little slow on that right front. The rear guys should be able to do it faster than should be doing it slower than Hanran. Now they had to go to the quick lift to get him back out so he could pull out. And he's being held because they have to restart the car. This is what was costing. You see where the fuel was going in? It took too long. Now look at Dan Weldon. He was running up front. Now watch Ryan Negrin on the back. When we make the shift, and we can pan the camera just a little bit. There you go. See how Negrin tries to use his chest to put it on the pins? It doesn't seat. Those are precious seconds tipping off. And at 216 miles an hour, hey, that's over a football field every second.
And that little mistake there on pit lane, yeah, it added a couple extra seconds with him getting that left rear on. But Weldon came in the 3rd spot. He's now running 12th.
Yep. And we have a caution on the racetrack. Yellow on the racetrack for the 2nd time. Don't see any particular problem out there.
So if you're in a fuel save mode right now, as soon as it goes yellow, you want to get your car in top gear and then go to a constant throttle, something you're not moving up and down, so you can make fuel, as Jack always says, as part of that strategy.
Anna Beatrice in the Daz root beer cars on the apron of the racetrack. She's running in 17th position.
And when the caution comes out, the pits are closed, so if she's coming onto pit road, most likely it would have been an incident with her. Oh,
there
she
you
gets
see it.
Very high.
Yep.
And white walls.
Yep. And so that was the reason for the caution. Down to Lindy with Alex Lloyd.
Alex, you had a problem at the beginning. Did that in any way play into what's happened now?
No, I don't know what happened in the beginning. I think Schechter checked up, something happened to him, and we went right up and touched the back of him, and somebody hit the back of me, and they burst the right rear tyre. So there was no damage after that. We changed tyres, came back out, had to start last, obviously, but we came through the field really well, and we had a really fast race car, and we led some laps then, and we were going really well. And it's just a shame for the Boy Scouts of America guys, because we had a car that was probably capable maybe of a top 5, certainly a top 10. So it's very disappointing, because it could have been a big day for us, and here we are on the sidelines. So we're not really sure what happened then. We lost drive, and that was that.
Alex, thank you. And Jack, Alex thinks they could have had a car in the top 5 today.
That's too bad, Lindy. We talk all the time about the differences of racing. Well, this is Ask Mr. Wizard today. If you've got fendered cars, take a couple of fans. See? When you put wheel donuts, no harm, no foul, but that's not what we're talking about when we're running in the IZOD IndyCar Series. I've taken the shields off of these, so when these guys rub tires, you see what happens? You were rubbing the tires? Okay? I actually...
don't cut yourself. Don't cut
I know.
yourself.
I was a little worried about it, and I actually killed one of them already, guys.
Be careful down there, Jack. You'll lose a finger.
I know. Hey, but that's what open wheel racing's all about. When you're running this darn close, I'll tell you what, it takes your breath away.
Yes, it does.
That's a great analogy.
And the leaders are pitting, which is what you do in oval racing. When it's yellow, you pit. Right. Because when you pit under green, you always lose a lap. It's just par for the course, but they won't need much fuel. These will be fast.
Yeah, and fresh Firestone rubbers are always a good thing.
Pit lane becomes very active here. Let's see who does the best job and gets out first.
Andretti will lead first because of his pit position, and Briscoe couldn't get as clean out as he wanted.
What can Power do? power still comes out in the 5th spot, so both Franchitti and he stayed in his position, as did Dixon, relative to...
Oh, and Takuma Sato is turned around, headed the wrong direction. And Hideki Muto also doesn't have a left front.
Yeah, that's not a quick way.
The 16:45 on the side pod of his car indicates the time, Paris time, on September 30th, 2010, that Lotus will unveil several of their makes, including the car that we saw in the pre-race show last week, the GT4.
Well, probably what had happened to Hideki, he had come in for service, and obviously that left front hub didn't seat on that, and we went out, and we'll probably see where that left front kind of rolls away. Launch back up there, you can see the left front tire, and that's where the contact came between Sato and Hideki, is when he left there, lofts that left front, and that's where the contact came from.
Hey guys, as Hideki Muto comes in to get that, you know, the responsibility, and you guys know this, responsibility is the outside tire changer. He is the one that's supposed to be looking to see what the traffic is, and that's it. So Hideki Muto has been serviced, and he'll go back out on the racetrack, still under yellow here at Chicagoland in the Peak Antifreeze Indy 300.
Drama in pit road during our second caution of the day. Anna Beatrice rubbed the wall, bringing out the flag. Most decided to pit, but the KV cars of EJ Vizo and Takuma Sato appear to have clashed, exiting the pits, and all sorts of shenanigans happened. Let's go back
to racing in one more lap, and Sarah Fisher is at the front of the field. The first laps that she has led since Kentucky 2002, only the 4th race she has led in her IZOD IndyCar Series career. Jack?
I want to take you back to the last, where I'm bored with TK, the last pit stop. Now watch the finish of TK. Everybody's pulling back up. I want to watch in the rear wing. You see the green car? That's Danica Patrick. TK was very slow in the acceleration lane, and that caused Patrick to have to check up. They talked about that in the driver's meeting. There's a lot of defensive. You see, you've got an acceleration lane and a deceleration lane, and that's exactly what happened with Takuma Sato.
Oh, we still got
look at the problems on the racetrack there. Tagliani has gotten into it somewhere.
Yeah, we were going to go green, but something went wrong as they were about to come down for
damage
the flag.
on the left side pod there of Tagliani's car. There you can see his wheel flip. That left rear wheel flip is hanging out, so that's been tweaked.
And you see the right front is off the ground, meaning that the left rear has damage.
Yeah, there's something flapping in that left rear suspension.
All right, here's what happened.
Oh, look at just a big, huge stack up.
Mira into the back of Muto, and then Muto into Tagliani.
Hey guys, do you think that was anticipation of the green flag? Because we were getting close to the go zone.
Yeah, they'd been given the one to go signal.
Those guys were kind of laying back. They thought they were in that go zone, but the cars up in front of them said no.
Yep.
And that's your checkup, send it off. And that's really what started. It was Mitor at the furthest back of that group starting to go, and then all of a sudden checked up, and that's what kind of set that up.
So they're assessing the damage on Tagliani's car. You can see the front wing on Vitor Mira's car for AJ Foyt Racing. Tagliani has only raced here at Chicagoland one time. He's getting out of the car. His race here was in 2008 when he finished in 12th position. Apparently will not be that good tonight.
Vitor Mira gets his second nose wing set of the evening.
Yeah, it's safe to say they don't have another one of those waiting back on the truck. After you've gone through two, I think if you have to go to the third, you're thinking maybe that's the time you got to put it. Yeah. Tags not happy.
Nope.
Anytime you get hit from behind.
Big hole in the side pod. Yeah. Well, 1 week from tonight, September the 4th, we will be at Kentucky Speedway on another 1.5 mile oval for the Kentucky Indy 300 as we continue the race to the 2010 championship. There will be 3 races to go at the Kentucky Indy 300. You can see it next Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central, here on Versus. And of course, the other 2 races that we will have for you as we go to the championship are at Motegi, Japan, and Homestead Miami Speedway. Lindy?
Takuma with an incident in the pits. What happened?
It looks like I was hit by a teammate after the pit stop. Need to go to see everything. Start was good. After the race, I had a flat tire, so I had to come in, change the tire, but back in the sequence and all looked good. And the pit stop, all good, and then go out and the teammate hit me.
So you say EJ hit you?
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know. We need to investigate what was exactly what happened, right? Because it's unnecessary completely.
Takuma, thank you.
Takuma Sato's best finish this year was 9th at Edmonton. He has had quite an up and down year, and it is his 8th DNF for this year. And Milcaduno also has 8 DNFs. Mario Moraes with 5, Muto, Di Silvestro, and Alex Lloyd with 4. Alex also out of tonight's contest. So Johnny Rutherford is at the front of the field once again in the Honda Pace car. As the pace is slowed here with 88 laps completed, we're nearing the halfway point. And again, Sarah Fisher is at the front of the field with Ryan Briscoe running second, Dario Franchitti third, then Marco Andretti and Will Power.
Hey, Bob, let's check in with Al Spire. They got a chance. The Firestone people have been able to look at the tires. What's the wear factor?
Well, yeah, Jack, we have engineers and technicians all up and down pit lane. So after that first pit stop, a wear check is very critical for us. These new Firestone Firehawks that we tested here in June are wearing exceptionally well. Some only 50% worn. So we get near the end of the race. I'm not sure anybody will double stint, but if it's just a few laps from the end, they can easily just take fuel and not change tires.
You know what? Time to recalculate yet again, because that changes a little bit of strategy when you know that maybe if you have to go maybe a stint and a half, you don't have to change those tires, you can make it real quick.
Saw Simona Di Silvestro get a new front end on her car, and now we get the 1 to go signal from Tom Hansing, who is the starter for tonight's race. Lindy?
EJ, your teammate Takuma says you hit him here in the pits. What do you say?
That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not here to say who hit who. I just pulling out of my pits. I listen in the radio to stay inside. That's what I did, and it's one of those race incidents. I think he's also with cold tires. I'm just in the inside. I had nowhere to go. On the other side, I need to really congratulate these guys. I had a winner's car. I started 16th. I was running with the leaders. Car was amazing, and it's a freaking shame that stupid thing took this out of our hands.
Bob, it'll have to be worked out between teammates.
His best finish was on the shorter oval at Iowa. He finished in 3rd position, and now let's try to get this thing back underway again. There you see the oval finishes for Sarah Fisher.
Wow, Ryan Hunter-Reay, you see him come flying down the low side again. People passing before the green.
But he checked up. He came with some momentum, but then he stopped all of a sudden. It looked like a little bit.
Race control tells Ryan Hunter-Reay to drop back.
Yeah, so he had that run.
He corrected
and then you saw that, and I'm like, well, it looked like he stopped, and he was being told. He was being told he better stop.
On board with TK, Tony Kanaan. He's running 8th. And Ryan Briscoe goes to the front once again, passing Sarah Fisher. And now here comes Dario and Marco to challenge Sarah.
Again, Marco's still cleaning that high side of the racetrack. And another guy that's always running high, as we look back to the kind of the cue as they come off turn 2 and off 4, is kind of that white car you'll pan back to, and that's Graham Rahal. He really likes coming off the high side of that race car.
3 wide now as Marco still tries to get to the top side of Dario.
And that is Graham right at the tail end, right behind Dixon was that purple. Yep. There's that quick trim car of Graham.
Saw in the pre-race show about one of Sarah's crew members, Kerry Hall. This is his last race, suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease. Now Ryan Briscoe, and we look back on the battle for second on back, and they go 3 wide.
You just don't get a sense of the banking of this racetrack looking back from that camera at that pack going 3 wide coming down in there. You got to get out and walk on this racetrack or go in a streetcar and go slow, and it almost feels like it's tipping over. That gives you a better sense of the 18 degrees of banking around this place.
First 10 cars within a second of each other. On board with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Boy, Sarah Fisher likes that clean air.
Yeah.
She's staying there, and she looks in the mirror and says, wow, do I have a group of people on my tail.
Right on board there, Hunter-Reay looking up there at Kanaan, just the movement in the car, just the loading up of that right side as you bury into this banking.
Once again, Ed Carpenter is a player, running fourth.
Guys, I'm beginning to wonder if Ed Carpenter remembers that Kentucky battle that he had with Ryan Briscoe. Because when you look at the overtake button, they started, well, everybody was fairly equal at the beginning of the race. But right now, Ed Carpenter has the most at 18 of the front runners. He is using them very judiciously. I think he wants all that he could have at the end of the race. Remember, that's what he tried to stay in the hunt in Kentucky last year.
Boy, that was a great race for Ed. We thought he was going to win it.
Yeah, I think what that also says, Jack, is absolutely how strong his race car is right now as he's working the high side of Sarah Fisher, chasing down Briscoe.
Kerry Hall, we wish you the best and thank you for your service to Sarah Fisher Racing. All the best to you from all of us at Versus. Now Carpenter challenges Sarah Fisher, but man, Sarah's just hanging right in there, isn't she?
Just shows you how evenly matched all these race cars can be.
And how much they love clean air. And the bottom of the racetrack, which Ryan Briscoe has both right now.
Yeah, that's where he's been impressive, is just how fast he's been with staying on that bottom. When Marco was challenging, he just stayed right on the bottom, coming off both corners, and has been faster than get out.
Another car on the move is the one running right behind this trio lined up is Mario Marias, who restarted in 17th on lap 90 and is now up to 5th. Down to Lindy Thaxton.
With Alex Tagliani and tags, it seemed Mira hit Muto and then hit you.
Yeah, it's a shame for the Bowers and Wilkins Tour Cup machine because I'm so proud of the team. They did a fantastic job. The car was a rocket ship tonight. You know, we had a little bubble. We ran out of fuel, and then we lost a lap. But you know, the race was still a long way to go. Spotter did a good job, good restart, and then I got hit from behind. So I'm so disappointed, but at the same time, I'm so proud of this team because again, just before the race, they got their car back, and we were really strong.
Tags, thank you. And we say literally right before that, guys, you did an amazing job on this car. Bob, we're halfway through.
It's been a strong team all year long, really, for a first-year team. There you see the advantage enjoyed by Ryan Briscoe. It is about 0.8 of a second, but boy, behind him, it is anybody's game. We will take a break and be back with more of the Peak Antifreeze and Motor Oil Indy 300 from Chicagoland Speedway on Versus.
If there was any encouragement for Ryan Briscoe to stay out front by that amount of a gap, it would be looking in his mirrors and seeing the melee that's going on behind. Sarah Fisher, we might have expected her to get swamped, James. I got to say, James Rossiter here with us in the studio along with Charles Bradley. But she hasn't. She's kept it low. Car looks pretty good, and the rest are having to work really hard.
Yeah, she's a bit out of sequence. She's got about 20 laps less fuel than the others, and she just seems to be sitting there, and the car seems really good in clean air where she's sat.
Charles, I mean, strategy-wise, everybody's going to be working hard now to see where they're going to be able to see a chink in the armour of some of the other teams. But to be absolutely honest with you, this today seems to be strictly about racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's in the tow, so they can forget a little bit about the fuel saving. So everyone's absolutely flat out now. But obviously the strategists will be having an eye on when they're going to make that final pit stop. Will they get a clear pit in? Will it be under green? Will it be under yellow? So lots of things to consider as this race winds down.
Dario Franchitti, of course, not in his usual colours. He's in black with a dash of orange today, and slightly more difficult to pick out some of the drivers when they have different markets that they have their cars painted in different colours.
Yeah, we're on board with TK here, and
Dan Weldon, I think that was.
TK's got a different colour car as well this weekend, and yeah, they keep changing them around. Makes it difficult for us.
I'll tell you what, this has been a great race from an IndyCar perspective. Onto the ovals. I mean, I have to say that you forget just how tricky Chicago is from a racing perspective.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the racing that we've seen today has been amazing, and the diversity in the field. I mean, Mario Moraes has been right up there now. He's running in 6th place, and he started, I think, 18th, and it's just seems to be anyone's game if they get the strategy right and getting a good tow.
You've got to be impressed with Sarah Fisher, though, haven't you, at the moment? I mean, she really has. This is the first race she's actually led since Kentucky in 2002. She didn't lead it for long then, so a fantastic race. But it looks now, as we go back to rejoin our colleagues, like Sarah Fisher is under attack.
3 wide racing at Chicagoland Speedway. Sarah Fisher is hanging in there in 2nd position. She's gotten challenges from Marco Andretti and from Will Power, and she just will not give up that 2nd position. Way to go, Sarah. Meanwhile, Ryan Briscoe continues to lead. He has moved out to about a 1.5-second advantage.
And he's just looking in his mirrors, kind of laughing, saying, you guys,
just
do
keep
whatever
doing
you
that.
do back there.
Hey, Will Powers on the overtake assist, trying to get by Sarah Fisher earlier. And wow, Scott Dixon got really high and had to dump the throttle.
He did, and Graham Rahal goes by.
Yeah, and we said once you got to get out of that throttle, the momentum shift, and we saw Graham Rahal just coming down the inside of him.
Ed Carpenter and Sarah Fisher now. Marco Andretti has taken 2nd, and now Ed Carpenter inches ahead to 3rd. And side-by-side racing is Mario Moraes there on the left, and Tony Kanaan, with whom we ride.
He's got a bit of a run. There he pops to the high side. He's alongside Moraes. You heard him just get out of the throttle a little bit there.
Just briefly.
And Moraes comes back. So just that little hiccup on the throttle, boom, the guy comes back on the inside.
Moves to 2nd position ahead of Marco Andretti. So the points leader and the guy who did so well on the road and street courses is doing quite well on the 1.5 miles. Thank you.
And check out his aggressive move, going to the top, way to the top, to try and make a sandwich there, and gets too high, loses his momentum, as does Marco Andretti. He has to try yet again, but he is being aggressive tonight. That's twice we've seen him have to save
and you won't see every driver out here do that. Again, it comes back to confidence in yourself and confidence in your race team and race car to get it up top.
Now Sarah Fisher, who ran up front, led a few laps, comes in for a pit stop. Rolls back out. And now Will Power and Andretti are both catching up to Ryan Briscoe.
Yeah, Briscoe was enjoying that for a little bit with nobody breathing down his backside, but they're going to be here right now.
Yep.
Well, we learned a lot from Sarah Fisher, and that is that passing someone who's nice and solid on the bottom of the racetrack for the rest of this group is extremely difficult.
And let's also point out again that Marco has less downforce on the car versus Sarah as he's trying to do that, but he still couldn't get by on the high side.
And look at the top 3. They're all together now.
They sure are. Power right behind Briscoe, and then Andretti. Completing lap number 115.
So So if you're Marco right now and you're playing ahead and say, okay, this is the end of the race, and I know I've been struggling getting by people on the high side just because you stall out. With 2 cars in front of me, if I lay back and they're poking a big enough hole in the air, does that give me the momentum to slingshot more? I mean, that could be some of the games that the drivers are playing right now from the cockpit, setting themselves up for where they have to be and what they can get done at the end of this thing.
Izod fastest lap of the race on lap number 4. Scott Dixon, 218.4. Very early on in the contest. And we see Ryan Hunter-Reay now 8th. He got around Scott Dixon. First, second, and third right here.
You also saw in the Izod fastest lap graphic 4.2 Gs.
Yeah.
It's big G-force around these corners. And amazingly, 71% of the lap over 1 G. So this is not an easy racetrack when it comes to forces on your body.
6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th right here. Graham Rahal and Mario Marias are wheel to wheel. And so is Ed Carpenter and Tony Kanaan.
That really is an impressive stat. Is we talked about earlier that for 71% of this lap around here, you're pulling 1 G around this racetrack. That really is something. At a minimum.
All right. Ryan Briscoe leads Will Power, Marco Andretti, Tony Kanaan, and Ed Carpenter with 119 laps completed.
As they hunt down Ryan Briscoe then, and this is getting very tight indeed now. So James Rossiter, I mean, this has been an enthralling race right the way through, but they're in 217 mile-an-hour laps. This is just getting quicker, even with worn tyres and fuel loads on.
Yeah, it was super impressive to see Will Power and Marco Andretti work together there to catch up with Briscoe, and they caught him at a huge pace. They were lapping 217, 218, and Briscoe just couldn't do anything about it.
Will Power, if he gets a result here today, Charles, pretty much has got one hand on the trophy.
Yeah, and even more ominous is the fact that Dario Franchitti's 10th at the moment, and Will looks like he could win this race. So
well, Will Power has not finished higher than 5th on an oval, so he's already driving outside of his statistics.
And this was where he scored that 5th place here last year, so he can drive this as good as anyone, and I wouldn't be surprised if Briscoe might just roll off the gas coming up to the finish line.
I mean, how much aero do you lose when you're driving with another car at that kind of speed, James?
A huge amount when you're directly behind, a huge amount, and you can see there when you get behind the car, it's very difficult to stay behind the corners, and that's why we're seeing them go 2 or 3 wide. It's actually so that they have enough downforce to continue going around the corner and not end up in the wall.
Yeah, rubbing wheels at 217 mile an hour probably couldn't be recommended, but they don't seem to be fearful of it, that's for sure. Some of the driving has been so close today. Let's go back to the track then and see how our colleagues see it.
We are racing at Chicagoland, 123 laps. Here's the recap.
And of course, the start for Tony Kanaan was a barn burner. He picks up 5 spots by just standing on it, going to the high side, taking a big rest, showing what you want to do to make up positions early. However, on lap number 5, not good news for Alex Lloyd. Gets in the back of Scheckter and Rafael Matos, hard up against the wall. That car didn't stop crashing until he got all the way down to turn number 3. That, of course, was started by a wiggle by Will Power. Then you had a full course caution. People coming onto pit lane. This is where you can make positions. Contact at the back for Sato. And Helio Castro Neves did not get close enough to the pit wall to take the fuel. They had to use the quick lift, pull him over. Now he gets the fuel. Hideki Muto didn't get the crew, that is, didn't get the left front tight. He has to make a complete circuit. Shows how stiff these cars are. And before the restart, on lap 85, Alex Tagliani gets hit from behind as they have a bit of a checkup on the racetrack, and he says to his fellow compatriots what he thinks of that move.
And here's the summary. Briscoe leads, has led 102 laps. We've had 2 cautions for 21 laps, 8 leaders and 14 lead changes, and the average speed 160 miles an hour. Looking back from Ryan Briscoe's car onto Will Power. 3rd is Ed Carpenter, then Andretti and Kanaan.
Now, if you are someone like Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon looking for championship points, you know what Will Power's situation is. You do not want to see this. You do not want to see Briscoe followed by Power and you guys laying way back. They were certainly hoping for better fortune with this.
And Jan, I'm not sure if Will Power's tactician is real happy with him right now either. Clive Howell just came out on the radio and said, remember who you're racing. Not the guys that you're in there right now. We have to race Franchitti. Trying to hold the bit on Will Power because Power still wants to win his first oval race, Robbie Floyd.
I'm here with Clive Howell. Clive, is there any concern when your driver Will Power goes 3 wide pressing when he's the series points leader?
Not really. He just told me he knows what he's doing with a little expletive in the middle of it, so I'll leave him alone.
That tells me you must have said something to him?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jack told us that he said, remember who you're racing. So he heard back from Will Power.
But here you are, you got a good race car. There's your teammate. You're chasing him down. Everything feels good. And sometimes if you're a little more cautious out on the racetrack, you can set yourself up for more mistake versus just running hard. You know, what these guys know how to do is drive 110%. They don't know how to back it off and just, I mean, it is a tough balance.
And you saw one car peeling off there. We're getting close to the pit window here. And pit stops under green. Remember, they all stopped together last on lap 80. So we'll get to find out here later in the race if there's any shifts in fuel economy.
And speaking of points, Ryan Briscoe has clinched the 2 points for leading the most laps. Ryan led 102 laps en route to his win in Texas. Sarah Fisher, we saw her make a pit stop, and she led for a long time, but now finds herself back in the 20th position. Ryan Briscoe has only led a total of 53 laps in the other 5 races that he has been out front this year. Tonight he has led 110 laps, the 5th time in his career that he's led more than 100 laps in a race. And there is Scott Dixon to the inside of Kanaan.
And if we stay on board here with Kanaan, watch, he'll get sucked along here. Look at the dash. Look at on his wheel right there. You'll see lights starting to get yellow and then red. That means that you have gotten into kind of used up that whole gear. And either you go to 6th gear, or when those lights get to red, you go along the rev limiter and the car goes and it doesn't accelerate anymore. So having the proper top gear for when you're in the draft is key, that you don't hit that rev limiter and stall out.
And Robbie, you know, on the dash, you also have a place for what's called the soft limiter. You can set below what the main limiter that Honda gives you. You can set just a couple of notches down so that before you get that, you do see those red lights. So that's the key to try and get the soft limiter and the hard limiter and be right in the middle somewhere.
That third car in line there is Alex Lloyd. We talked to him on pit lane a while ago, but he is back in the race. There's Dixon moving around him. Mario Marias makes a pit stop. So far, right now, there are 19 cars on the lead lap, and Ryan Briscoe is on the apron of the racetrack.
And that's that apron area where you got to challenge that apron and push it as much as you can all the way to that 60-mile-an-hour pit-in line right there.
And several others will also come in. There's Graham Rahal at the top of your screen. Tony Kanaan also.
Marco Andretti, yeah.
TK looks for his pit box. He gets it. Ryan Briscoe also is there.
Okay, how much fuel do you take right now? This may be a call when you short fill, get track position, or fill up, depending on where you want to get for that last stop.
For Briscoe, it appeared as though he took all the fuel.
Will Power took over the lead, but now he comes in.
And like we saw in the first stint, Ed Carpenter stays on the racetrack getting great fuel economy. 18.
And Ed Carpenter also has come on to pit lane.
Oh, Dixon got by. Lindy?
Ed Carpenter has asked for a wing change. You remember, this is a combined team with Panther and Vision. Kevin Kay, the team manager for Vision, he is running the air jack on this crew, Bob.
And looking at that wing change, they were putting wing in it. When you looked at him turn that, they just were giving him a little bit more downforce in the front of that car.
Ryan Hunter-Reay leaves his pit box.
Big smoky burnout there by Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Dan Weldon comes in. Weldon's had a good run.
He's hoping for a quicker stop. That's definitely what hurt him earlier in just track position. Remember, we had that when we kind of panned back on our onboard. We looked at that guy right there on the left rear, and he just almost got it hooked up that time.
Not this time. Good stop. 6.5 seconds for
Excellent stop.
Weldon. Vitor Meira is shown as the leader of the race. There he is. He's off in pit sequence.
It really is amazing. I mean, we know Vitor's changed 2 front noses with contact, and here he is. Yes, he's still got to cycle through with regards to pit stop, but the fact that he's even leaving this race with two nose changes.
And look how much Dixon had gained on pit road, and I would not be surprised, Robbie, if he did exactly what you predicted. He had an extremely fast pit stop. I bet he didn't take all the fuel, and now he's right where he wants to be, ahead of Briscoe.
Here's the replay of what Jan was talking about.
So they both stop at the same time, and we're pretty sure that Will Power took all of the fuel. So if you see Scott Dixon leave before,
well, you know what?
A second or so.
I mean, that fueler pulled out pretty quick, but the fueler's still waiting for like a half a second, even though the tires were on.
And you can see him blow by Will Power. So it was that was fantastic pit work by the crew. Here's Marco
trying to get by TK's right rear tire laid out and doesn't put in rubber down.
Well, Ed Carpenter had to come back in because they didn't get any fuel in the car. He's coming, has pushed his visor up. He's very frustrated. They keep trying to go. It's not working. You can see them trying to fire up.
You know, what did we say earlier? I said, he's fast on the racetrack, but the biggest challenge when you're just not regularly in the series is things can go wrong. Whoa, he washed up the track. That was Power.
I thought he was headed right for the wall.
Yeah. But again, so with that, when you're not regularly making those stops, that's where it's tough on pit road.
Tough break for Ed Carpenter. Well, now the pit stops are over, and we once again turn our attention to the racetrack here at Chicagoland. With just a little more than 50 laps to go in our race here at Chicagoland Speedway, the top 10 cars are running within a second of each other. The leader is Dan Weldon. Second place is Ryan Hunter-Reay, and we're on board with him. Looking back to Dixon, Power, Andretti, Kanaan, Briscoe, Ray Hall, Castro Neves, and Franchitti.
And these are all real positions. This is not pit strategy. They all stopped at relatively the same time, within a lap or two. So they're not off sequence. These guys have made their way to the front after great pit work, and now Ryan Briscoe is back there, not leading on low downforce, struggling.
Let's still size up Briscoe. Ooh, look at Power.
Yeah.
Do you think Clive Howell's on the radio saying, "Hey, we're not racing those guys for the points"?
No,
as he's going by.
He gave up on that one.
Oh, look at this!
Wow.
Andretti looks high.
And look at there's Briscoe trying that high side. Look at it, looked like he drifted up a little bit more there, Jan, just tagging that whole idea with less downforce on that car. What's it going to do to him?
And that's exactly what we talked about the open of the show. The low downforce is the way to get to the front and stay there. But if you're back, as you can see, as many. Oh, look out!
Hello.
Will Power is as aggressive as I have seen him in a long time.
And you know, Jan, I got to think that no matter what Clive Howell tells him and the response that Will Power had, it's hanging over. Oh, 3 wide.
Oh, mercy.
And a Will Power sandwich that he just wants to get to the front and get the monkey off his back about ovals.
Well, he's doing that to get to the front, Jack. That's a fact. Wow.
Man.
And so you're Ryan Hunter-Reay. You're just there that Greek flag, and you see these guys 3 wide. You just got to hang back and say, this is going to get somewhere. Here we go.
You're thinking, okay, all right. Hang on.
That's Brian Briscoe on the right.
Yeah.
Whoa! To the inside is Kanaan.
You see Kanaan get the wiggle there?
Yeah.
Down low. Kanaan just had a big wiggle, had to get out of the throttle, so he went back. Dixon went by. Elio went by. TK, that is.
You called that, Robbie. That was the time to be riding on board with Ryan Hunter-Reay. That gives you an idea of the kind of concentration you need to have in this kind of field.
Well, because he just thought he was the one car sitting there. All of a sudden, we saw somebody on the outside, somebody on the inside. But when you have just that green flag racing side by side around here, you can do it for 20 laps. But after that, you need a break somewhere in there. You got to have a couple laps to catch your breath.
Power is trying to pinch. He's trying to keep Weldon down. He's trying to keep him down lower, and that is close running.
And the thought process, Yana, what you're saying, keeping him down low, is if he keeps him down on that bottom and Weldon has to put in a little extra steering and that car washes up, he's going to have to get out of the throttle.
And he's cutting it close.
Andretti making it 3 wide again. Wow.
You know what, Dan Weldon may be fighting valiantly, but when you look at the overtakes, guys, he's only got 3 left. And we've got a lot of laps left to go. Coming up on the 18 car, and that could really split this one up a little bit, couldn't it?
He's running 19th, by the way. Is 2 laps down. We have 17 cars on the lead lap.
There comes Power.
There's just no breathing in that whole pack of 7-8 cars right there.
Well, this is going to be interesting here when they come up on Milka.
Oh, and she's going high.
Middle high, middle low.
Ooh!
Weldon forced below the white line, but
I think from the official standpoint, they say when you go down there, if you had an avoidance,
that's okay.
We'll be okay with that.
And Will Power has the lead. But Andretti is right there to his right. Weldon, who led, now finds himself battling for third with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Back with more at Chicagoland in a moment.
Welcome back to an incredible Indy 300 from Chicagoland Speedway. 11 leaders, 17 lead changes, just 2 records for the season so far in 2010. And it's Will Power who ignored his crew chief to punch his way past Marco Andretti and Dan Weldon to lead. Let's go back.
Will Power leads Marco Andretti here at Chicagoland. The record prior to tonight for most lead changes here at this racetrack, 23 in 2004. We have had 24 tonight. The record has been set for number of lead changes, and we've got almost 40 laps to go. There are the first 2. Will Power and Marco Andretti. Here comes 3 and 4. Dan Weldon on the low side and Ryan Hunter-Reay on the outside. They almost bang wheels coming off of turn number 4. Right behind them, Tony Kanaan, who's had a very stout race tonight, on board with him. Oh, he had to lift there a little bit.
Tony Kanaan's been running high a lot of the evening and taking advantage now, Ryan Briscoe.
And Briscoe, of course, has led the most laps here tonight, so he gets around Tony Kanaan. Here the 9 car of Scott Dixon, and right behind him or to his side is Dario Franchitti, his teammate, and right there also is Graham Rahal.
And we've seen Graham just always challenging kind of towards the back of this pack, so he's got a fast race car. We just haven't seen him up in that top 4 group, but let's look for that before the night's out.
And Leo Castro Neves, of course, had that slow pit stop, now trying to make up ground.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him very much, but he is in the top 10 right now. Back in 11th position.
Whoa! Look out!
Alex Lloyd, sideways, coming off turn number 4. The caution is out.
How about the timing of us just swooping back right on that? Just got loose coming off there. We all 3 just saw it.
I was about to say that Danica Patrick was running 11th, but I didn't get it out. Wow, second problem for Alex Lloyd tonight. Boy, that was a scary ride, wasn't it? It comes with 30 laps to go, so everybody will come in and
it'll be their final pit stop.
That's right.
Well, what that's going to do, too, is going to keep that whole lead group, lead pack together. They're not going to be spread out on green stops, so it's just going to be everything at the end of this.
That's what we saw live. Alex Lloyd coming off corner number 4, slides to the inside of the racetrack. We are under caution here at Chicagoland Speedway on Versus.
Well, it's always sad to see someone spin out of a race, Alex Lloyd in particular, because he's a Brit, but I've got to say that is probably the mildest to what we were possibly expecting with the running of 2 banks of 3 cars side by side, 217 miles an hour. Some of the closest racing I think I've ever seen, James.
Yeah, it's been great, hasn't it? It's been an amazing spectacle to see them running 3 wide. At one stage, the top 6 were running, well, they were 3 wide, followed by 3 wide. I've never seen anything so close.
I'll tell you what, I've never seen anybody writing so feverishly either. Charles Bradley, of course, Autosport Deputy Editor. You've got plenty to write about for tomorrow's mag, that's for sure. This week's, look at this.
That was for the lead. This is what I was talking about. The 3 in the lead and then the 3 behind get together as well. And it's just so close.
I mean, at the end of the day, all these guys are very confident in what they do, but the possibility of an error somewhere in this situation when they're taking the side draft, I mean, it's getting cooler as the evening moves on. There are so many moving elements in a motor race that it is very close. No wonder Clive Howells is absolutely screaming down the radio at Will Power that he's not really supposed to be racing to win his first oval. He's although one could argue that because he's a young man that's yet to win one, but he's got to be racing Dario Franchitti, surely.
Well, the thing is, he's so lucky. As we saw Alex Lloyd, he just made a small mistake, got up high and lost the back end trying to avoid the wall and just spun down. Now, if one of the leaders did that in that group when there's 6.
Indeed. Let's hope Will Power can hang on. Let's go back to the track.
Under caution here at Chicagoland Speedway because of an incident involving Alex Lloyd. Will Power is the leader.
And when they pit, they will only need 12.2 gallons of fuel to make it to the end. That's only 3.5 seconds of fuel, faster than it takes to change tires. Will someone take a chance and not take tires?
You heard Al Spire say earlier that is a very likely situation here in the late going, given this green with less than 30 laps to go. Let's watch. They're changing tires on
Power.
Both Ryan Hunter-Reay and Andretti, and also on Will Power.
And on Dixon back there.
And Franchitti gets out quick.
Ryan Hunter-Reay was 3rd across, Power 2nd.
Franchitti up 8 positions.
Wow.
And Patrick up 5.
So did they put tires on?
Sure looked like they were going for tires for Dario.
I got to say, my eye wasn't focusing on that car. I saw the Dixon definitely went with him, but I can't confirm that I saw Franchitti.
Wow. We're set up for some great racing to the checkered flag. It's Franchitti, Will Power, Marco Andretti. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's a race to the flag, no more scheduled stops. Dario Franchitti leads from Dan Weldon and series leader Will Power. Let's go back.
We are back here at Chicagoland Speedway in the final moments of the peak antifreeze and motor oil Indy 300. Let's go back to that last pit stop and what happened to Dario Franchitti. See him on the high side? He has to make a wide arc in. He does not take tires. Now watch when he pulls back out. He snookers everybody and beats him. Maybe Al Spire is right. We're down to a handful of laps. Let's go to Robbie Floyd and find out more from Chip Ganassi.
Well, Chip, some crazy things going over the radio right now, but that was one heck of a gamble you made. What played in that decision?
Yeah, I mean, we're basically about a 5th or 6th car, and that's our shot to win him. That's the only shot we have.
Well, I just heard over the radio just a minute ago, and everybody can hear the radios. They told Will Power that he does not have enough fuel to make it to the end. These guys were scrambling, and back that has to put a smile on your face.
You never know. We'll see.
Thanks, Chip.
Can't believe everything you hear on the radio. And also, nice job by the Target Chip Ganassi team. They had the tires out there, and they almost made it look like they were going to go for tires, and that's part of what you do. You lay out, making it look like you're going to go tires, and then you kind of pull the sleight of hand, and he tricked me. Robbie, you were right on the money. No tires, good job.
And looking at the grid right there, Danica Patrick's now in 6th spot. Same thing, came in for fuel only.
Let me give you the numbers, 7,
Okay.
34, 10, and 06. So you got Danica, and you got the 34, and they're all gambling right now, and it might work for them to get better spots.
We have a new record for most different leaders in an IZOD IndyCar Series race 11. We have 25 laps to go, 24 laps to go. In Atlanta in 1999, they were 10. Tonight, we have had 11. And this equals the record for the most different leaders. And also, we have had 25 lead changes as the green flag comes out. And here we go, hopefully to the finish.
Good restart by Dario, no question of holding a couple car lengths there.
Look at Kanan going to the to the high side and now low side. Danica Patrick is in the mix here. She's running 6th.
Pressure from Power on Franchitti on the high side. I think that's the question is, with Dario now going to be protecting that bottom line, has he got enough grip in those Firestones as they keep putting laps on him to stay on the bottom and run flat and be fast?
Ryan Hunter-Reay has the most overtake assist, pushes left. Look at him slice and dice. Tony Kanaan going to the low side.
That was Briscoe here just quickly on board. And remember, he doesn't have as much aero as this guy, TK. So when you get up in traffic, that car moves around a lot more than having that extra downforce that TK has on.
Marco Andretti to his right. Briscoe right behind.
Dan Weldon finished 2nd at the Indianapolis 500. He's running 2nd here tonight.
This is all just, I mean, so quick in terms of the way all this happens.
Up at the top, as we see the order that they are running in, you also see the number of overtake assists they have remaining. Look at this, 4 wide. Wow.
Ryan.
Ryan is way up in the gray, kicking up the dust.
Yeah, safe to say that's not premium grip. Whoa, is that tight back there.
Playing to the original storyline that if you go with the low downforce, you're doing, I mean, it looked like he was unbeatable when he was on the front. Now he's stuck mid-pack and he's just going backwards.
And he just lost, what, 3 or 4 spots right there in that sequence of getting up high.
But how about Will Power? Everybody asking, well, how's he going to do when we get to the ovals? He certainly has been dominant on the street and road courses. Well, he is in a battle for 2nd.
On board with Briscoe. Look, and he's just shifting up a gear, keeping that momentum on the high side. He still wants the momentum. Wow.
There was.
Wow. Well, we saw the dust coming up, but what about that close contact on his left front with Marco? Man.
You can watch here for a little while in Versus non-stop. We will take a break and be back for the finish of the race here at Chicagoland Speedway.
It's all got a feeling of a bit of desperation going on there, particularly from Ryan Briscoe, the pole sitter. I mean, we talk about close racing. I'm fed up with talking about it now because every lap is absolutely within cigarette paper width. I don't think I've seen anything quite like the amount of laps we're seeing here, James, at the moment.
No, it's the first time we've seen the 4 abreast, and clearly it doesn't work, as Ryan Briscoe found out.
Well, it did actually work. He just looked like he was a bit unsure whether there'd be any grip up there, that eye.
Yeah, unsure, and I think he was very lucky not to end up in the wall.
Here comes TK having a bit of a look as well now. I mean, how can you see this playing out? I mean, an absolute flanker that Ganassi's played, Chip Ganassi there, regarding no tyres, Charles.
It's a huge gamble, and who knows if it'll pay off. I'm amazed they've actually gone for it instead of just trying to drive to the front on new tyres. But having said that, Dario's doing a great job of holding on at the front, and it looks like Weldon's sort of playing a sort of wingman role at the moment, keeping the Penske Power at bay.
Talking of gamesmanship, though, Penske obviously put their 10 penneth in as well by saying that perhaps Will Power won't have enough fuel to the end, Charles.
I'm taking that with a very large pinch
I think
of
Chip Ganassi did as well, didn't he, right when it was put to him at that particular point. Justin Wilson having a great ride in the closing stages as well, up to something like 7th place at the minute.
Yeah, his car seems to be coming on strong. He said after the practice session after qualifying that he found something good with the car, and clearly his race car seems much better than his qualifying car.
Dario Franchitti, Dan Weldon, Will Power, Scott Dixon, that's your top men. Tony Kanaan is there as well. Marco Andretti slipped back into 6th place now. Ryan Hunter-Reay in 7th. Wilson has dropped to 8th behind him. In fact, down to 9th because Briscoe has slipped all the way down after that near wall experience.
Yeah, it looks like, we'll just say, it looks like he's experimenting with how high you can actually go on this racetrack as he went round the outside there of Justin Wilson.
How high can you go? How high do you dare? That's what it seems to be about the Indy 300 from Chicagoland. Incredible racing, and we're in the closing stages. We'll go back to the track and rejoin our colleagues for the conclusion.
Racing just doesn't get any better than this. We have 17 cars on the lead lap, and 13 of them are within a second. Dario Franchitti leads Weldon, Power, Kanaan, and Andretti.
And Briscoe, one of those guys that was going backwards just a couple laps ago, now has had a big run and momentum, has come back up a little bit up on the high side of the racetrack.
And look at Marco, he's up on the high side now. Boy, Dan Weldon has had just a great race. He has run up front all night. Currently running in second, but with a battle.
Look at Briscoe. We're just looking him up on the high side. I mean, we just wrote him off 2 laps ago with going backwards, but with not having that downforce in the car, he's fast if he can run flat and not have to get out of it.
And not far behind him, Justin Wilson has come from way back to join this group, so now he's a player. Look at how many cars still have a shot in this race. Danica Patrick now getting into the back of this picture as well.
And that was Wilson just looking, as you talked about it, there was him just looking up on the high side at the tail end of this race.
Less than 10 laps to go when they come down this time. It'll be 9 to go. There are the 4 drivers who did not take tires on the last pit stop. Franchitti was among them, and he still leads.
And we'll see if that plays. We get into the last 4 or 5 laps. Are they going to lose a little bit of that extra bite that you get from those Firestones with the wear on them, or not? Well, we heard from Al Spire. I think these guys are good to go. Great call.
14 drivers within a second.
Now with 9 laps to go, there's the one thing that Robbie Floyd said about a radio communication to Will Power about not having enough fuel to get to the end, which that doesn't make sense to me. He only needed 3.5 seconds of fuel. He should be fine. But if that's true, that could... Oh, Briscoe! Did he hit the wall?
No, he didn't. And it was Ryan Hunter-Reay just kind of pushed him up there, and he had to get up there and gotten that grade. Now he dumped the throttle and lost that momentum.
He's pretty much out of it.
Hey, Jan, let me confirm the Will Power situation. I just talked to Clive Howe, asked him about fuel, and he said it is dicey at best.
Really? Wow. Well, Franchitti holding everybody at bay, but behind him, action all over the place.
Hunter-Reay very happy with the Andretti Autosport guys and the product that they showed up here with in Chicago.
And we shouldn't forget about the fact that what happened at the end of the Indianapolis 500 when you had Ryan Hunter-Reay ran out of fuel and had that horrific accident with Mike Conway. And Mike Conway, if you're watching, we hope you'll be back soon. But that has to be a concern if you're following Will Power. They all monitor each other's radios, and if they think he might suddenly... And look, he's dropping back.
Right now, just as you're saying that, he's going backwards.
5 laps to go.
How do you put yourself in that position when you are in the championship points?
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Well, at least he did not run out of fuel. He brought it in.
But still, he's coming under green conditions.
No,
he's
but from a safety standpoint.
Oh yeah.
Great news.
Yeah.
From a championship standpoint, that is.
But major implications perhaps in the point championship as the leader comes in, leaving the battle on the racetrack to 13 others.
You only needed 3.5 seconds of fuel. Something went wrong during the pit stop. They had a fast car, but again, he snake bit on the ovals.
Robbie.
Larry Koskas puts in that fuel probe only about a 2 second stop, if that for them. He's had his head in his hands these past few laps. He knows that that's what may have cost the number 12 a victory and maybe the championship.
And the point interval is now 24. Will Power leads Franchitti by 24, and Franchitti, of course, is the leader of the race.
So Power hits the pits. At the same time, Franchitti goes to the lead. You can't have a bigger swing
No,
than that.
and you heard Chip Ganassi say, hey, we only had a 4th or 5th place car. That was our gamble to win this race. And right now, with 2 laps to go, what a play. What a play.
Does that go along with rather be lucky than good?
Less than 3 miles of racing to go, and Dario Franchitti stretches the advantage right now. That is Ryan Hunter-Reay up on the high side of Tony Kanaan for 4th position. Here's the white flag. We got 1 more lap to go at Chicagoland.
Wow, the point swing here with Franchitti in the lead and Power having to fuel.
But it's not over. Here comes Weldon.
Dan Weldon, as we mentioned, finished 2nd in Indianapolis. That's where he's running now. Marco Andretti looks to the high side. They come off of corner number 4. Let's see who wins it. It's going to be Dario Franchitti winning with Dan Weldon 2nd and Marco Andretti 3rd.
Way to go, my man. Great job there. Great job. Simon said, whoever told us that don't take tires was yours, boys.
Well, Dario needed the victory to come closer to the championship, and he also needed Will Power to lose points, and that is exactly what happened here tonight. At one point, we thought Will Power is going to wrap up the championship, maybe at Kentucky, but that will not be the case. The championship tightens here at Chicagoland. Lindy?
All right, Chip, that gamble paid off, huh?
I'll tell you, that was our only shot, really. I mean, you know, we got back in traffic there. We were in trouble. We in clean air. We liked it. So, I mean, he did the job. I mean, we put him up front. He did the rest. Dario did it.
Yeah, even coming into this, he said the car felt great.
Yeah, I mean, he said the car was great all night. He just didn't feel like he had any power to get by anybody, you know, and we stuck him out front there, and he did the rest.
Championship in your sights?
Always.
See ya. We'll let him go celebrate.
Dario Franchitti wins by 42 one-thousandths of a second over Dan Weldon. Another incredible finish here at Chicagoland, and the top 10 cars finished within a second. Graham Rahal wound up 10th, 9/10ths of a second behind Dario Franchitti, and there it is at the line. Just a little less than a car length advantage for Franchitti. And a little bit closer shot. Yep, just a little less than a car length. And a good showing by Andretti Autosport tonight. Andretti finished 3rd, Ryan Hunter-Reay 4th, Kanaan 5th, and Danica Patrick finished in 14th position. But the victory goes to Dario Franchitti, who came in with a different colored car combination, but it worked for him.
Hey, Bob, we caught up with Clive Howell, who caused the shots for Will Power and finished in the 16th spot. What happened on the next to last pit stop that left you in a fuel situation?
We had an issue with the equipment and we didn't get enough fuel in the car, so you know, we were trying to decide whether we should come right back in on that yellow and put it in, but we didn't know whether we'd actually got it in or not, so we had to stop for about 2 gallons of fuel right at the end there. Shame for Will, because he drove a great race tonight.
Yeah, he did. So you know, guys, Will Power just hopped out of the car and made a beeline down pit road, so we're going to try and catch up with him.
Yeah, he was walking pretty briskly away from his pit box. As Dario comes in, it was the 17th closest finish in IZOD IndyCar Series history, and only the 6th closest ever at Chicagoland.
Well, great testament to the product that Firestone keeps building for these guys and these cars around here to double stint that like they did.
Helmet off. Get out. Nice. Joe, get out. You gotta get his helmet off. Go ahead,
He's just taking it in, isn't he? He's just taking it in. I don't blame him.
Great radio call saying, whoever thought of not taking tires, this one's for you. That was a great strategy call.
Yeah, if you were Dario Franchitti, wouldn't you be taking it in right now? I mean, he is giggling like a little schoolgirl. Let me tell you, Dario Franchitti wins the Indianapolis 500, only 23 points, Dario, behind Will Power now. How about it for the number 10, Dario Franchitti? Breathe right. Buddy, you're living right today. You said you would be happy with a victory, but are you even happier now after you saw what happened in the points battle?
I'm delighted right now. I mean, we struggled all night with the Breathe Right car in traffic there. But whoever made the call on the timing stand, I don't know if it was Chip, Barry, Chris, who, that was the call that won us the race tonight. I got to thank the boys for making that call. And also Dan Weldon. Dan, it's like a drafting, restrictor plate race out there tonight. And Dan was my drafting partner and helped me right up to the end. So between him and my teammate Scott pushing me throughout the race.
There's Chip.
Not that! Amazing.
Yeah, Chip wraps up the Grand Am series as well with Mabel and Scott. So another double for Chip Ganassi and Chip Ganassi Racing. So it's been a good Chip. Get on in here. I mean, did you ever dream that this could happen again? Much like last year with Briscoe at Motegi, such a big swap here in one race.
I mean, this guy did it all. He's the guy driving the car. We just put it out there for him. He's the guy driving
They pulled my ass out of the fire again tonight. That's why I love driving for this team. You just never give up.
A question, did y'all learn anything from Sarah? I mean, you saw how hard it was for guys to get by on that low side. Did you go to school?
I think these guys did. I was just getting frustrated out there, getting further and further back. But again, a great call by the team tonight, and we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
You don't have much time to think about it. You head to Kentucky, another 1.5. You've been strong. What's the positive feeling now that you head towards next week?
Yeah, we just got to keep going, man. But again, it just shows don't give up, right? I mean, we were back in 10th place at one point there, struggling with the car, and we did. We left the Firestones on there, and they were good for a stint and a half. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Firestones were strong. 62 laps he put on though. Congratulations, Dario Franchitti, another win here in Chicagoland.
Robbie, you remember the thrill of victory in the agony of defeat. Will Power has been very gracious on the walk back to his motorhome. What do you say about the way things unfolded in the last couple of laps, Will?
Yeah, mate, I mean, that's racing, These things happen. Unfortunately, we didn't get all the fuel in, but, man, I mean, I had so much fun out there. It was, I never thought I could race overs like that. But, man, that's going to make it tough in the championship. We got to eliminate little mistakes like that. And, man, I'm still in it. We still just got to keep pushing hard and not make mistakes.
I was going to ask, not to sound like Pollyanna, but one thing that you did maybe silence are the critics that said you can't get the job done on an oval tonight.
Yeah, I was looking good there before that last stop, man. I'm like, it's almost I'm leaning at the end, like they can't get by me. But yeah, that's racing. You got to, as much as it can be frustrating and you can get angry, you just got to, you take it. You got to take it.
Hey, thanks for stopping and chatting with us.
No problem.
All right, Will. Guys.
Has to be a major disappointment, but we've got 3 more races to go. Who knows what's going to happen? Let's salute the winning pit performers of the evening. The Firestone pit performers are the Dario Franchitti crew. Total time of the pits, 1 minute, 49.4 seconds. Back in a moment.
Chip Ganassi said they had a 4th or 5th place car. Well, they certainly managed to sort that out in the closing stages. What a remarkable race. What a remarkable turnaround. And what a nice guy Will Power turns out to be in the end after stomping off out of his car and giving himself just a bit of a breather to compose himself, James.
Yeah, after he composed himself, he did a great job giving that interview because it shows that he is still leading this championship and he's got the composure to win it.
23 points now the difference. We did say right at the top of the show this could close down. We never expected to see Will Power have the problems he had. But Dario, stunning, Charles.
Yeah, I don't know who's the real hero of the race, whether it was Dario for doing the job when he was put out front, Ganassi's strategist making the call to leave the tyres on, all those 4 Firestones that did a stint and a half. They stood up brilliantly. He hugged the white line, having seen Fisher do likewise earlier on, and just brought the job home. It was a fantastic performance all round.
And somehow it's overshadowed a stunning drive by Dan Weldon to 2nd place. So by far his best performance of the year. 2nd place in the Panther car. We know he gets on good round here. We know Panther have got good form round here, James. But that was a great drive. And I wonder if he was helping as far as Franchitti was concerned.
I think he did a lot, because otherwise maybe Dario would have had a bit more pressure, but because if you've got a car behind you, you actually gain quite an advantage in speed, so it really did help Dario at the end having done
Marco Andretti, Charles, a great third place from him as well. He was performing out of his socks all the way through today.
Yeah, he had a really good run going at the end there as well, and was just too late, maybe on the push to pass a little bit too late, but again, yeah, well done. He always finishes second to Dario, it seems. We saw it at Indy earlier this year right behind him, so great job, British 1-2.
Well, we can hear from the second and third place men now, but first up is Marco Andretti.
Welcome back to Chicagoland Speedway. I am with number 2 and number 3. Let's start with Marco, who finished third. First of all, what were your team's thoughts on whether or not you were going to take tires on that last stop?
Well, I mean, you know, that we were contemplating it, and just turns out we made the wrong choice. You know, but we kind of got shuffled back a few times during the race, so to be at the front, I mean, we got to be a little bit happy.
What was it like up there running with the Penske and Ganassi boys, just being so close out there?
Well, when everybody's flat out and you're running, you know, it's hard to pass them high if they're flat on the bottom, you know, especially at Penske or Ganassi. But, you know, the Venom car ran well all day.
Your third place on ovals this season. You glad to be back?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a trying past couple of weeks on the road courses, so hopefully we can just, you know, gain some momentum and finish on a real high note.
Marco, thank you. And Dan Weldon, let's talk about pit stops with you, because the first one, not so great. You get to the back, and then the next two, though, really make up for it.
Yeah, that's what's fantastic about the National Guard Panther Racing guys. You know, it's that never give up attitude that I think we've learned from a lot of the soldiers in the US and overseas, and obviously proud to represent them, and hopefully I think they can see that, you know, I never give up either, or does the team. And, you know, it's a fantastic result. I'm sure I'm going to be in trouble with, you know, Team Penske for perhaps working with Dario, but, you know, I got to say, working with Dario out there, he's a true professional, and, you know, always gave me room, and not a lot, but enough. And, you know, to have a result like that, I think is fantastic. And I think, as everybody could see, Honda continued to do a great job providing competitive engines, and the Firestone tires were good, you know, to the point where we contemplated nearly doing 60 laps on a set, but we did change, and I'm just happy for all the guys. They do work very, very hard, and they deserve a good result.
For those of us who don't know, what's it like to run 4 abreast at 219?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. It's you know, it's the way racing should be. I got to say, I've really enjoyed the road courses this year, and you know, it's good to be back on the ovals. But it's you know, it's very, very difficult at times. You've got to race around people you trust, and you've got to give people room. And you know, that's why I like working with certain people. But I think a few of them had too many NOS drinks before the race, because there was a lot of moving around.
Dan, thank you. And Bob, what a turnaround for him from last week.
Plenty of moving around in here, I can tell you as well, with everyone squirming in their seats as 2 packs running 3 abreast around it. Dan Weldon, then confirmation, James, that he was working along with Franchitti, and obviously the blast of the line he wouldn't have been working with him, but certainly given themselves both a position there.
Yeah, good bit of information there from Dan to show that he was working with Dario, and clearly it worked out well for both of them, finishing first, second.
I mean, this means everything to Dario Franchitti. He's got 3 rounds to go. He's on ovals. Obviously, Will Power still has that bit of a hoodoo to get over yet with the oval series, whether it be luck or driving, Charles. So it's all to shout for.
It's also the momentum seems to have shifted basically now. Ganassi have got their tails up, their dander up, if you like, and Penske have, you know, they've really tripped themselves up with that fumble basically with Power's pit lane equipment. So I think you have to just say that Dario's the snowball's going his way at the moment.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Dario now has a bit of momentum. I wonder, this is going to show character of Will Power, isn't it? We've seen how quick he can drive. We see what he can achieve in a car. We can see how he can escape from some sideways moments today at 200 odd mile an hour. He drives brilliantly, but now he's got to get over that in the next 3 rounds to just nail the advantage.
Well, he's got less than a week to compose himself, and then he's got to go and do it all over again and try and get that monkey off his back and get the first win on an oval. And
still, all the time, Charles, Dario is going to be pretty much thinking his way to the end of this series and the championship.
Yeah, and he's just going to be thinking, all these tracks I've done well on before, you know, I've won at a couple of them as well. Certainly Matigi's always good, which is another one that Weldon's always good as well. And Weldon was almost like he played the Dixon role today, because Dixon just wasn't on the pace of Dario, so I think he's going to be asking some questions why his teammate's not up there with
Dan
him.
Welder's not had a win in 39 races since Iowa in 2008. I mean, he's due, isn't he?
Yeah, it's unbelievable to think he's been winless for that long. You know, he's a former champion. He's won the Indy 500 before, and Panther a great team, 2-time champion team. So it's funny that the chemistry's never really gelled with them.
Funny enough, you were looking at, not funny, but it would have been great if you had been driving out there. You were looking at a drive this week in where we've just been. Fact of the matter is, it was like a video game. You said you checked out a video game, and it was exactly like that.
Yeah, I had to go on a simulator, and I couldn't believe how close it was on simulator, because I did a simulated race, and it was almost identical to what happened there. And I thought, no, you can't do that. You can't run 3 abreast. But sure enough, they were doing it.
Incredible racing. I mean, they talk about NASCAR on some of these tracks. I know NASCAR is supposed to be in America the biggest sport, but IndyCar is 100% back on track. I defy anybody to find better racing than we've just seen.
Absolutely. I couldn't believe that the grandstands were that empty. You know, you see the NASCAR races and they're very samey, but you get full grandstands almost every week. Yet here, you know, fantastic racing. So you know, we ran out of superlatives here in the studio. I ran out of exclamation marks in my notepad. Yet the crowds just aren't warming to it as they should be. So
perhaps they will after today. Let's take a look then at the championship standings after today's race. Round 14 brings Will Power back into the clutches of the Scotsman. Dario Franchitti's back there, 23 points now the difference, 59 it was going into this. Scott Dixon, well, he's not done much, but of course he has closed the gap slightly due to Will Power's bad luck today. Ryan Briscoe is 4th, Elio Castroneves is in 5th place, 6th is Ryan Hunter-Ray. Tony Kanaan, well, he had his nose in front in a couple of melees out there today. Marco Andretti is there in 8th place. Justin Wilson is now 9th. Dan Weldon stays 10th. Well, that's a bit of a disaster for Dan Weldon, considering just how well he's done today. Well, round 15 sees us back at Kentucky Speedway. Last year was fast and furious, right to the flag, and very nearly threw up a shock winner.
Wow, field is really tight coming down for the start here. Once again, Dixon jumps out front, but the green flag does wave, and we are underway. The Apex Brazil green flag waves. Dixon jumps into the lead over Franchitti, and they're 3 wide in turn 1. Oh, and we have a couple of guys in trouble, Marias and Conway. But how about Ed Carpenter? Look at him up in 2nd spot and challenging the leader.
Hey, I want to lead this thing. Oh, look out!
No!
I don't think he didn't get in the wall. He was in dust putting it up there, but he didn't touch.
They come off of corner 4. Ed Carpenter has the advantage as they come off the corner at the line. It's going to be Briscoe.
Nice job, babe.
It's another late one for all of us on Sunday, September 5th. The Kentucky Indy 300 is live from the Kentucky Speedway in Sparta from 1:30 a.m. on Sky Sports 3. And just to keep your calendar in order as the IndyCar season draws to a close, round 16 is from Japan. Twin Ring Motegi is the penultimate clash before we finish off. In sunny Florida, Homestead Miami Speedway hosts the finale and the declaration of the new 2010 IndyCar champion. And if all that isn't enough to satisfy your high-octane cravings, may I suggest you watch this.
Over 1,000 horsepower, a top speed limited to 253 miles per hour, and a 6-figure price tag. If that doesn't amaze you, wait until you see what goes inside.
A lot of people did not believe that this could be done at all.
Exclusive access to the making of the world's fastest production car, the Bugatti Veyron. The only time you'll get closer is when you're in one. The premiere of Bugatti Supercar, next Sunday at 9 on National Geographic Channel and HD.
Now that's a car, but we're looking forward to Kentucky next time round, gentlemen. It's going to be something a little bit special. Thank you very much for joining us. My thanks to James Rossiter then and Charles Bradley for their company. And thanks, of course, to you for staying with us through the night. I'll bet you're glad you did. See you next time.
more sport, news, views and video on Sky Player, Sky Mobile TV and at skysports.com.